Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, Harper. We are back with another stream today. Alhamdulillah. Um, I was unsure if we were gonna make it in time, but alhamdulillah we did. I'm very happy. I'm happy to stream with you guys, especially because we have a lot to react to for the next coming. I feel like for the next week we have a lot to react to, which is funny because I felt like we had nothing to react to for almost about like last week. I was like, man, there isn't that much to react to right now. But then, alhamdulillah, out of nowhere, there's like so many different debates. There's so many different conversations. There's so many, and it's not even just like, which is good. Like, not even like the classic like Islamic dilemma debate. Even though there is an Islamic dilemma debate that happened that I'm not gonna watch anyways. I just don't really care enough to react to it. But I mean, there's just so many different conversations. So we're gonna give this one a try. The Korra versus that opinionated girl. I feel like this is a good time length. There was an Itachi one that I was considering watching as well, and so maybe we'll watch that one. When we'll watch a couple of other videos, but I mean, you know, you gotta give credit where credit is due. You gotta give credit to brother SNEAKO. It seems like he is on a generational run. You know, it does feel like, you know, he has some unoriginal things, but I mean, that's just more of a preference. That's just more of me being a critique. You know, I'm not one to speak, but you know, you got to give credit where credit is due, man. He's out here. He's getting people having conversations. He's getting people to debate. He's debating himself. You know, he's giving people what they want, and so yeah, man, it's good to see. You know, someone who, you know, from the Ummah. You know, doing doing good things. I mean, creating content. You know, creating content. You know, causing people to notice Islam online, which I think is a big thing. I think, you know, we get so tight, which is true. Like, right, like we have to be obviously sharing the truth. We need to be speaking about the truth at all times, and we need to be correcting each other if we make mistakes. Especially myself, if I make mistakes, I know I get defensive sometimes, but yes. I know. It's good to always correct each other, and so, but you know, SNEAKO, for example, you know, he's not a pillar of knowledge, but he is someone who's bringing people together to have good conversations. And yeah, don't worry, we will watch Ali at some point. Not today. Don't worry, we will, inshallah. We're gonna watch this debate today instead. And so I think Ali is some like Sheikh who's like brand new to YouTube, or he started a new channel, something like that. We will watch him. Don't you worry about it. But not today. And I know I said I was gonna watch it Saturday, but hey, just be patient. We'll get around to it. We got a lot to react to, man. Don't worry. You know, there's so much content to watch, so we will get to it, inshallah. But you know, I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate you giving me the advice, and we will get to it, inshallah. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good to see everyone. Yeah, man. We're just gonna get into it today, but I'm gonna hopefully, inshallah, I'll be making a short later. I went to Juma yesterday, and the Juma conversation was just so wonderful. It was the Sheikh absolutely crushed it. He's a revert, and Allahu Mubarak. His recitation of the Quran is extremely beautiful. His knowledge of the Quran is it's wonderful. His knowledge of the Hadiths is wonderful. And he talked about young people. He talked about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and how he's very patient with young people. And so this is some knowledge I want to share with you guys. I am a revert, alhamdulillah. I did get a haircut, yes. Whenever I get a haircut, the beard does my barber does trim my beard, but it's okay. It comes back stronger every time. But yes, I am a revert. I started studying Islam about more than 4 years ago now, but I officially did my Shahada in March of last year, so it's been a year and 4 or so months. But yeah, the Juma yesterday I went to was absolutely incredible. It was such a great conversation. The Sheikh, you know, he was so beautiful in the way he spoke about the patience of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how he would, you know, when children would maybe cause a ruckus, or they would you know, they would, you know, maybe make some jokes, or they would ask for, you know, haram things, whatever it was. He was very smart and tactical in the way he approached, you know, the youth, and he was really, he really, like, Islam. It's you know, it's not obligatory on us, but it's important for us to understand that we need to make Islam look attractive, right? It's on us to make Islam look like it's cool, or it's fun, or it's, you know, it's knowledgeable, or it's worthy, or it's spiritual, whatever it may be. It's worthwhile. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so patient and kind and nurturing and strategic in the way he talked to the youth. And so, yeah, alhamdulillah, it's something that I want to talk about and share with you guys. Hopefully I'll make it more eloquent when I make this short here later. No, I'm not Italian. I'm Spanish. But yeah, I mean, you know, people say I'm like the Sonny Faz twin. I might be taller or shorter than him. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know how tall he is, but I might be taller or shorter. Yeah, I'm glad that whoever deleted that message. That was weird. That was weird. Absolutely, help Gaza. Okay. But yes. So, what's going on, everyone? What's going on, everyone? Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was, there was a time when this is hadith. It's I'm not going to be sharing it as properly as it should be stated. So, you know, may everyone go find the truth yourself. But it was about these young boys who were mocking the Adhan, and yeah, they were like saying it in like a very mocking manner. And so then the Prophet Muhammad called the boys over, and he asked them all to recite it. He found out the one who was making a mockery of it, and he actually asked that young boy. He was like, hey, like, you know, that was, your voice is very beautiful. Do you want to do the Adhan at Mecca? And then the Prophet Muhammad taught that young boy the Adhan on the spot, and for 3 generations, the family of that young boy, after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they were the ones who did the Adhan at Mecca. So for 3 generations, you know, just from a boy who was mocking the Adhan, which, if you make jokes with Islam, right, that can actually bring you out of the fold of the religion. But the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was so strategic, patient, and kind, and he was encouraging the youth, where it even brought so much blessings and goodness, to the point where that young boy and the future generations of that young boy's family led the Adhan at Mecca, out of all places, alhamdulillah. So, you know, it's more of a reminder for myself first that, you know, we need to be more encouraging to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Especially, I really implore, and I really, you know, like, public service announcement. I think the sisters should be encouraging other sisters to dress modest, and, you know, even if revert sisters are not ready to wear the hijab or you know, other head coverings, then, you know, we can still encourage them to, you know, take those strides. And, you know, also, like, same thing with, you know, men. We should be encouraging our youth, our young males, to be going to the masjid often, especially for volunteer events, whatever it may be. And so, you know, instead of like pinpointing like, hey, you suck at this, or you should be doing this better, it's like, no, like, hey, you are doing fantastic here. You know, keep it up. You know, I think that's a better way to grow this religion, honestly, with where we're going today. And so, alhamdulillah. Anyways, that's my soapbox thing. I, you know, wanted to give some, you know, public service. It was just such a beautiful Jummah. And so, but yeah, may Allah Azza wa Jal bless everyone that's in the chat. Thank you guys all for the sweet and kind comments. I know I've been a little bit defensive recently. I hope brother Junaid comes here soon, because I have to apologize to him. But it's just, man, the unfortunate thing is with streaming and content creation is that I have so many amazing followers. We've created such a beautiful community, but then every once in a while, just one bad apple really just makes it a difficult week, and you get in your head about things. But alhamdulillah, we're back, we're better, we're feeling strong, we're feeling happy, and, you know, it's just another example of where I just need to be more patient with others. And so, So yeah, Harper, I'm very impressed. You have so much energy and passion for the religion. I know there's some blockers in your way, but may Allah understand. He obviously he's perfect in his timing, knowledge, and execution. He knows exactly what you're going through. He knows your heart better than yourself, and so may He make it easy for you, sister. May He make it easier for you to truly embrace and showcase the religion to the fullest. And may He bless you and put blessings in everything that you do. Walaikum salam. Okay, let's get into it now. I feel like that was enough yapperoo. I only streamed like once this week, so you guys gotta let me speak for a second. Like, jeez. All right, but yeah, we're gonna get into it. So yeah, this is Korra. We already know, she's literally single-handedly taking down Christianity by herself in the year 2026. Who would have thought a young Sundanese Texan or wherever she's from, she's literally single-handedly taking down Christianity. And I don't know that opinionated girl. I have no idea who this girl is. I think she's some Twitter person. Probably 7K Czech girl. We're gonna give it a quick try. If it's like absolute crap, like if it's like C rap, then we might go to the Itachi conversation. Okay, you did it again. I did what again? Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam. What did I do? What did I do? I'm confused. What did I do? Oh, it said G's. Oh, well, okay. Look, astaghfirullah. Like I said, we're 29 years deep, man. I went to a private Christian school. you gotta give me some slack. That's the thing. But thank you for calling me out. What's going on, Dan the Man? Welcome back. Yes, I know. I have problems with certain words. Thank you for bringing it up. I catch myself in public. I trust me. But this one's gonna be a long one to get out of my system. But just know I am working on it in private. But astaghfirullah, saying Jesus Christ, astaghfirullah, saying G's, all that stuff. Man, that's 29 years of programming, man, that I'm working my best on. But anyways. That's enough. Thank you for calling out. But please, everyone, I know I get defensive. Still call it out, though. Still call it out. Imagine someone tuck-feared you over that. But look, again, facts. No more tuck-fearing. That's enough tuck-fearing. No more tuck-fearing. All right, guys. Anyways, Yaposaurus Rex over with. Let's get into the debate now. We are going to put this on 1.1 speed.
Hi.
Shalom.
How are you guys? Shalom, Michael Ray.
All right. And, okay, so I don't know your major point of contention. If you want to, what's the major point of contention that you two have?
The topic for the debate is if Israel is committing a genocide.
Perfect. So.
What? Wait. Yo, okay. Sorry. I can. All right, hold on. I wasn't prepared that it's almost been 3 full years since the beginning of this current genocide. There's been a long-lasting colonization, usurping land, killing of women and children and men, and that's a topic of debate. Wow, this is all right. I'm actually kind of spooked.
Hi.
Shalom.
How are you guys? Shalom, Michael Ray.
All right. And, okay, so I don't know your major point of contention. If you want to, what's the major point of contention that you two have?
The topic for the debate is if Israel is committing a genocide.
Perfect. So let's, are you okay with an hour?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so let's do 2-minute intros for the both, and then a 1-minute uninterrupted rebuttal for each person. And then we'll do free flow for the rest of the time. How's that?
That's fine with me if it's fine with Korra.
Yeah, I'm
Alright.
good on that. I'm good on that.
Perfect. And what should I call you? Do you want me to just call you the opinionated girl, or do you have a name?
You could call me Maddie.
All right, Maddie. So hopefully, let's keep it respectful. I have, people know that I'm opinionated on this, but I keep a fair platform and I don't want to be biased.
I mean, you don't have to be opinionated. This isn't like, oh, like the opinion is that there might not be people that are dying, or land hasn't been usurped, or they aren't moving borders and usurping land, and also Lebanon. This isn't like a mirage. This isn't like oh, this could or couldn't be happening type of situation, right? Like, what do you mean that like just straight to the point? It's truly black and white. It's either there is no genocide, which is astaghfirullah, or like there actually is some of the most horrific war crimes happening in the year 2026.
Just want to moderate it properly, make sure that doesn't get too many ad hominem attacks or there's too much interrupting. I just want a civil conversation. I want ideas to be exchanged, and I just want a civil discussion. And then I hope that you think that this is going to be a fair platform. I have a good reputation with that. So let's, is there anybody who wants to start, or should we flip a coin?
She can start.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother Babino.
Good.
We could flip a coin.
Okay, let me pull it up. 2-minute timer. And here we go. There you go. You got your time.
Great. So right now, what we happen to be seeing is a made-up genocide of a made-up people. If you look at the very...
Yeah, you're talking about like modern day debate. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I know Jake, the metaphysics guy. I think he's a revert. Had an Islamic discussion, Islamic dilemma debate with IP. I don't know if we're gonna really watch that. I don't really know if I care. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Last time, that one's like the most deadest horse of all time. So I don't know. We might watch that. If we're really bored, we might go into it. But yeah, like, I mean, it is truly one-sided platforms when it comes to these debates, right? So yeah, shout out to Brother SNEAKO for at least, like, allowing people to speak properly.
Specific criteria for genocide requiring dualis specialis. We do not see that Israel has met this criteria. This is something that has been upheld by both the...
All right, hold up. Sorry, I was yapping.
...of a made-up people. So right now, what we happen to be seeing is a made-up genocide of a made-up people. If you look at the very specific criteria for genocide requiring dualis specialis, we do not see that Israel has met this criteria. This is something that has been upheld by both the ICC and the ICJ, both stating that they do not have enough evidence to prosecute.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm not saying there's certain people that are running it that I know of to be true, but who is in charge of the ICC? Let's just get a background check.
Either Netanyahu or charge Israel with this crime. What we have seen, however, is specific genocidal intent from the Arabs as a collective against the Jews. If you look at the operational directives of 10.7, you would see that there was specific instructions to massacre as many people as possible. This included civilians, they wanted images, they wanted videos, they wanted live streams of it in order to instill fear into the Jewish population. They wanted to ensure the destruction of the state of Israel, something that the Palestinians have been echoing pretty much since.
Which, okay, just, I'm not coming to her defense at, like, whatsoever, but from my, like, basic low-level understanding of what Hamas did, they basically did that to force the hand of the Muslim world, the Middle East, to then come to their aid because they've been facing decades and decades of colonization and usurping land and stripping rights, as well as obviously killing of people, women, children, men. And so they did that attack on October 7th essentially to force the hand of, to get the defense of the Muslim Ummah, of the Muslim world. However, that just didn't happen, because we know that some of these GCC states are unfortunately hypocrites, from my layman understanding. But let's get into it.
Their existence. They were made up by an Egyptian by the name of Yasser Arafat, who found out that if you coin
but also, like, again, like, I just wanted to give like a quick background of my understanding of this. Can you fix the mic or raise the voice? Yes. Listen, I'm sorry, man. We're having some rough. We're having a mic change. We're having some rough times, but hopefully we'll get there. Inshallah. But thank you. Yep, we'll get into it. Mike is back. But then on top of that, Palestine doesn't even have a representative in the United Nations. They don't even have a state laws, meaning like they're not recognized as a state. There's a people living in the Middle East in the 21st century that are not protected under the laws of the United Nations. That's absolutely tragic. I mean, how could you not, how could you, like there's a long-standing country that's been there before World War II, and all of a sudden, when the United Nations is created, all of a sudden, this country that's been there for decades, centuries, millennia, whatever we want to call it, I'm not a historian here, they somehow don't get a representative. They don't even get recognized by the United Nations when it was formed. That's what we're dealing with, guys. And we're not supposed to be suspicious about this.
A term if you create the invention of an Arab Palestine that simply never was, and you erase the Jewish history of the land, you rewrite the narrative. You can
Also, I was reading the Quran the other day. All right. Wait, okay, hold on. I want to read this one ayah to you guys. I want to read this one ayah to you guys. It's actually super fascinating. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Inshallah. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. Ayah break. I know we're 3 minutes in. But we gotta have an ayah break. It was super fascinating. Ayah 129. Okay. Yep. All right. Ayah break right here. All right. So this is from the 7th surah, ayah 129. This is the section in my book is called Israelites Persecution Continues, and this is in context of when the Pharaoh was talking to Moses, and Moses and the Pharaoh was told his chiefs to slay their sons and spare their women, so they can dominate over them. And then Moses said to his people to just be patient with Allah, because this is the land of Allah. And then he and only Allah will give inheritance to his servants. And then it comes in with ayah 129. They said, we have been harmed before you. This is the children of Israel. But we have been harmed before you came to us and after you have come to us. He said, perhaps your Lord will destroy your enemy and grant you succession in the land, and see how you will do. And so what's interesting about this one ayah, which I was reading in the context of my Quran, as you guys have seen before, my Quran is both in English and Arabic, and then there's some context at the bottom of it. What's interesting about this ayah is that this final part here, it says, perhaps your Lord will destroy your enemy and grant you succession in the land, which would mean occupied Palestine today. He'll grant you succession in the land and see how you will do, saying that this isn't like he will give you the land forever. This is not saying that Allah would give them the land for forever. It is that he will give them the land and see how they would act, how the children of Israel would act. Would they be grateful for the land? Would they be only worship one God and one God alone? Astaghfirullah. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Unfortunately, yeah, like we you, air. That's not the case. Obviously, when Moses went to the mountain, they created the golden calf, and then obviously they created Baal and all that stuff. And so, yeah, alhamdulillah. Can you react to how Islam became a world religion by epic history? You can even upload later as a video. Yes, we can definitely do that another time, but we are locked in 3 minutes in.
make a lot of money based off of really nothing. Israel, on the other hand, has gone above and beyond to minimize civilian casualties. They've used things like roof-knocking bombs, they've done evacuation notices, and they've even done or delayed their military objectives, despite the fact that this was harmful to them.
So, yeah, they told people to leave. They told people that we're going to bomb your house. They told people that, you know, we're going to delay our bombing, even though we're still going to bomb you. They just bombed them. They just bombed a mosque. They just bombed a mosque. Israel bombs mosque in Gaza. Israel bombs mosque in Gaza. Was that on Friday? On July 28th. No, that wasn't on Friday. But yeah, they just bombed. You're telling me, oh, there's no genocide, but then Israeli army strikes mosque. I mean, by the way, there's no genocide, guys. Hey, guys, there's no war happening. I mean, just look at this encampment. Look at this encampment. There's literally people living in a tent. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're not killing anyone. We're not committing a genocide, actually.
There's been no genocide except an attempted one against the Israeli people. I'm good there.
Okay, that's your time, Korra. You have 2 minutes starting right now.
All right. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Barakallahu feekum for all the Muslims that are watching, and I hope everybody that is watching has paid a very close attention to what was just said. A made-up genocide against a made-up people. Subhanallah, subhanallah. Now, let's go over what was said, and let's also establish some points as well. A made-up people. A made-up people, and we'll press on this when we do the rebuttals and we do the open flow dialogue. We're going to have to see whether or not she knows the history of this land, when the term Palestine was used first, and things of that nature. We'll see if people are truly aware of what's going on there. Let's also go over another thing. She said, okay, we have Israel using things such as notices on when they are going to enter and things of that nature, being very precise in that regard.
Yeah, the IDF is like, hey, knock knock, knock knock, we're coming in. Don't worry. Oh, you guys, that's not good today. No, okay, we'll delay the genocide another day, and then we're gonna copper bomb all you guys. Yeah, that's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. Yep, opinionated girl. W in the chat for the opinionated girl. Yep, she's on it. She solved it, guys.
Now, I would want to know, if Israel is being so precise, I hope that we don't think that Israel is stupid, right? They have the intelligence to know who their targets are and where they are. So if Israel is being precise in this regard and not intending a genocide, which we're going to be very precise in the definition as well when we do the open flow dialogue, then why do we see Israel repeatedly committing things such as carpet bombings in places such as Gaza? Undirected bombs. We see 2,000-pound bombs being dropped in Gaza, undirected, and somehow
200. Did she say 200,000 or 2,000 pounds? Whatever it is, that's insane. I mean,
Israel has the ability to know who their targets are and where they are. Very interesting. Now, she makes a claim more precisely, and she says that the Arabs, and if I'm not mistaken, she's referring to Muslims as well, individuals that are trying to genocide the Jews in this land.
20 seconds.
She said that this is a claim that is being made. We're going to have to go even further in that. I'm going to start speaking faster. Now, what's interesting is we see historically the exact opposite going on. We see the Muslims and we see the Arabs historically from hundreds of years ago defending the Jews, protecting the Jews from people such as the Christians, Catholic Christians trying to genocide the Jews. We see instances. Sorry.
That's your time. Okay, so you have 1 minute to respond, Maddie, and then 1 minute for Korra. Go ahead. Your time starts. Let me fix the timer. Go ahead.
Great. So when I said Arabs, I meant exactly what I said. I said it because I meant it. I didn't mean Muslims. If you look at the PLO, the PFLP, right, these were overwhelmingly Marxist. These were people who didn't necessarily attribute to a specific religion. They were just people that hated Jews because it was the trendy thing to do so. If you look, for example, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem.
Oh yeah, after 70 years of seeing your family starving to death, or you see your father die, or your sister, starve, or whatever it may be, it's just a trend to start hating the Jews. After you see your house being blown up, after you see, masjids, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, a masjid on a Friday being blown up during the month of Ramadan. It's just a trend, guys. That's what it is. It's just a trend. If you want to be cool, it's not because they've faced 70 plus years of colonization. It's just because it's the trend. That's all right. Makes sense. All right, makes sense. W in the chat, man. W in the chat for Maddie, bro.
Al-Husseini quite literally met with the intention of supporting the Nazis. He wanted to annihilate the Jews in the Middle East as well. I would hope for your own sake that you do not subscribe Islam to a Nazi ideology, because I certainly don't. That's not what I stated. If you look at what Israel is doing, right, you've made a lot of empty claims. You said that they used undirected bombs, that they didn't know what they were doing.
Sure, go ahead, Nats.
You tried to mention a 2000 bunker buster bomb, but unfortunately, it is Hamas who decided that their own civilians' lives are just not worth protecting. It's why they've embedded themselves in every aspect of
5
civilian
seconds.
society. I'll leave it there.
Okay, cool.
All right, yeah, they need like 2 minutes for this rebuttal.
Or you have 1 minute starting. Now you can go ahead.
All right, for sure. So I'm going to pick up right at the end of what she said. She said, okay, well, we have a claim going on here, a claim that there are undirected bombs being dropped on the Palestinians and that Israel does not know what they're doing. Now, I have sources for all these claims. And she made the
No, it's just water, but it was orange mango, electrolytes. It's 10 calories for the entire container. It's probably a bunch of chemicals, unfortunately. But it tastes so good. It's like 0-calorie Gatorade. It's so good. You get it from 7-Eleven. Not sponsored, but it's so tasty. It's probably not the best for you, but it's very good. But it has a bunch of vitamins in it, which is nice. But yeah, probably not natural.
claim explicitly that we have Hamas embedding themselves in hospitals and all of these places and things of that nature. We can go even further in that when it
All right, thank you. I believe in free Palestine as a Christian. All right, hey, let's go. Hey, we can meet in the middle somewhere. I would like direct answers as I go to Speaker's Corner, and it's annoying when going around in circles. And you're from London, all right? What's going on, mate? 1 a.m., bruv, or midnight. Let's go. But yeah, I mean, that is the one. That's not gonna lie. Halam's slander is just a trend. Facts, honestly. Let's go. That is actually true. That is true. That is the one nice thing. Okay, I mean, out of the many nice things, there's so many great things. But you know, one thing, I mean, okay, it's hard to say one thing. But the difference between church and Juma, you know, khutbah, going to the masjid on Friday, there's many, of course. But as someone who is politically charged, someone who loves this religion, someone who loves the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and someone who loves the Ummah, and someone who wants to see justice, peace, and economic security for Muslims and non-Muslims, that's what I would love to see for this world. It is great going to Juma on Friday and talking about the real issues that we're dealing with today. It is nice. It is nice. Versus when I used to go to church not so long ago before I did my shahada, we weren't really discussing the things that were important to the world. That wasn't important to how to make the world a better place. But in khutbah, we definitely talk about that. Walaikum, let's go, Sue. We're back in, Sue. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
comes to the open flow dialogue. But unfortunately, maybe this isn't something that's too popular in terms of this debating scene, but we're going to need evidence, and sources on every single claim that's made against, for the fact that Israel is not committing a genocide in this particular regard. Now, another point that was being made is that individuals, specifically Arabs, have been trying to essentially eradicate the Jews just because they're Jews and it was a popular thing. Again, we're going to need evidence for those claims as well. That's also going to go on in the free flow. But the point that's being made here is I can read a multitude of sources where we see multiple instances where Israel is in fact
Yeah, we'll give Sue mod status after this stream, inshallah. Whether she wants it or not, Sue's getting mod status.
carpet bombing Palestine, specifically Gaza in this regard, the imaginary state that she tried to call in her, what is it called? All right, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So I want to start and see if Maddie, if you want to begin the free flow discussion with a question that you could pose, or we could just, whoever has a question could just start now.
I'll be honest, guys. I know there's some great questions and I haven't been responding to them. I'm just I'm so bamboozled. I'm so bamboozled by the first opening statement that she just said that this was a made up genocide by made up people. I'm still shell shocked. So hopefully this like open ended conversation is gonna be a lot better for me to lock in on.
Sure. So you're making the claim that Israel is committing a genocide, something that you've yet to actually substantiate. Like I said in my opening, genocide has a very specific threshold requiring dualis specialis. That means that you have to prove that the Israeli government has the intent to carry out a genocide against the Palestinian people. If that were to be the case, then you'd have to look at the history of it. Pretty much since
Okay, I mean actually, I take it back. Never mind. I was gonna say Purim. Do you guys remember Purim? But that's against Persians. Purim. You guys remember that one? Purim holiday. Purim is a joyous. That's a lie. Jewish holiday commemorating the salvation of the Jewish people in ancient Persia from a plot to annihilate them, as recounted in the book of Esther. Yeah, it's about drinking until like you can't remember who your brother is or who your sister is, which is really weird. Super weird. And it's about genociding Persians. Do you guys remember when we talked about that during Ramadan? Trust me, I have not forgot.
Israel's existence, people have been claiming genocide. This would have to be the world's slowest, worst genocide that we have ever seen, that 76 years later, the Palestinian population has done nothing except grow. You have 2 million Arabs living with full rights in the state of Israel. You have seen Israel try to make peace and offer self-determination to the Palestinian people on 7 different occasions, all which were turned down while they laughed in Israel's face that they were not there in good faith. You'd also have to prove that these military operations are with the intent of killing the civilian population. I'd love to know, Korra, does Hamas have any military bases? Why does Hamas have 200 miles worth of terror tunnels underneath the entirety of the civilian population? Why were Hamas leaders such as Mohammed Sinwar found killed underneath hospitals in Gaza? Why did even the UN, who is openly, notoriously anti-Israel and even had employees that participated on October 7th, openly admitting that schools were being used in order to store weapons, with over 20 ammunitions found at just a single children's school in Gaza? I would love to know what your explanation for this is, and if somehow Israel should just sit there and not respond because Hamas made this decision.
I mean, she's very well spoken, but I have a feeling this is gonna be bad. I have a feeling this is gonna be. This is. It's gonna happen, guys. Get ready.
Okay, let's break down something, and I'm going to do it very simply with a question. I'll start here. So you made the claim that there are tunnel systems embedded in hospitals, correct?
There are tunnel systems embedded throughout the entirety of Gaza, but I would also love you to answer some of my questions.
Well,
because
wait,
you
yeah,
completely
I'm
ignored all of
engaging.
them.
Wait, hold on. I'm engaging with that because that was one of the claims that you made in that like long series of speaking that you were doing. So you made.
But yeah, I mean, just if we're talking about slave trade, I mean, I did briefly speak about this in one of my in the debate review of Korra, Orthodox Muslim versus the 2 Christian pastors. It's a fair critique, man. It's a fair critique. You know, Saudi Arabia. You know, this whole idea of like taking people's passports and using them as indentured servants. You know, modern day slavery. It's a fair critique, man. It's fair critique. You know, they are as you know, everyone here I'm sure can say with absolute truth that, you know, unfortunately these GCC states are not representative of what true Islamic countries should be. It is very sad. Now I'm not an expert on this topic whatsoever, but that's just from my basic understanding.
The claim that there were tunnel systems embedded in hospitals, correct?
I said there's 200 miles worth of terror tunnels underneath the entirety of Gaza.
Okay, and in your opening statement, you said that they specifically embed themselves under hospitals, correct?
That they embed themselves in civilian societies.
No, you said hospitals explicitly in your opening
No, I
statement.
used
So is there evidence for
hospitals
that?
as. So I think you might be conflating 2 different points. I said Mohammed Sinwar was found deceased underneath a hospital in Gaza, but for the tunnel system, it's throughout the entirety of Gaza, including underneath hospitals.
Okay, and what's the evidence for that?
Yeah, so did you just miss the point part where I said Mohammed Sinwar was found dead under a hospital?
Yeah, and I'm asking you what's the evidence for that?
That they found his body there.
Yeah, I would say Nats has been pretty respectful. Not even pretty respectful. He's been very respectful, so we appreciate him coming into the chat, having some questions. You know, no harm, no foul. Please forgive us for any of our shortcomings. It can get a little hostile and emotional sometimes. But yeah, no issues with Nats in the chat. No issues with Nats in the chat.
Okay, and I'm asking you for a source, if that's all right?
Yeah, sure.
Oh. Hello?
She just left the call.
So yeah, a lot. There's a lot of laws about like slavery, but it's not obviously like, you know, 18th century 19th century America. It's obviously much, much, much different. And if you read throughout the throughout the entirety of the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal, God the Mighty and the Majestic, tells us that a way to make up a fast, or a way to have a sin be forgiven, whatever it may be. There's so much blessings if we take a slave and then free them, especially if they are a female slave. If we free them and then we marry them. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I believe he did that with two of his concubines, as if you want to call them concubines. And so it's a way. So the Quran brought in a lot of regulation with that was already in the slave market in pagan Arabia and all over the Eastern world at that time. Not just pagan Arabia, but all over there was slavery. But the Quran brought in a regulated system with then the the foresight and the divine knowledge of the blessings that an individual would receive if they released their slave, as well as if they were a female slave, they released them and then married them. And so now unfortunately what Saudi Arabia is doing, I don't think would coincide with the Quranic understanding of slavery. But I'm saying I don't think. I'm not a scholar. I'm not a student of knowledge. I'm barely a layman. And so maybe it is. Maybe it is.
I think she accidentally clicked
Sorry,
off.
yeah, somebody was trying to call me and I tried to hang up on them. But yeah, the IDF found his body there. If you want more examples, I could give you the example of the Kamal Adwan Hospital. Their director openly was associated, a direct member of Hamas actually since 2010. He talked about the fact that they had stored ammunition there, and there were also tunnel systems found underneath there. There's hostage testimony of hostages who were dragged to hospitals and kept there basically to hide from the IDF. They were not being medically treated. In fact, many of them were severely medically neglected. Sorry, I don't know what the hell this person's doing. But yeah, that they were severely medically neglected. We could look at the Al-Shifa hospital, where there was also a explosion inside of it that was later found to be from a PIJ rocket. The list really goes on and on, but I would love for you to also answer my questions, right? Because you made a claim that Israel is committing a genocide, right?
Yes.
Genocide has a very specific definition. The definition means that you have to meet Dualis Specialis. So could you show me any evidence that Israel is specifically having the intent to genocide?
Can we gotta look up Dualis Specialis. I know I spelled this totally wrong. What is Dualis Specialis genocide? You might have to chat GBT it, guys. Alright, you're likely referring to Dualis Specialis, a legal concept in international law that defines the specific intent required to classify acts as genocide. Honestly, guys, when people use philosophical jargon as their thesis, as like the center point of their thesis, if they use philosophical jargon as the center point of their thesis, it's definitely crap. You can just tell it's gonna be crap. They're just using this to sound smart and to show that they might have knowledge on the situation. It's just a way to somehow beautiful. It's like you're taking lipstick and putting it on a pig, which is haram. But you're just you're beautifying crap. Because obviously we know that what she's arguing is absolutely false. And so she's just trying to use some philosophical jargon to make her argument just seem 10 times more legitimate. But when anyone ever does this, it's just absolute crap.
The Palestinian people.
All right, that's a good point. So previously, now maybe I'm going to have to be a bit more clear in this regard, but I am going to answer the questions that you asked as well. So I didn't ask you to give me more examples, quote unquote. I asked you to cite evidences for the claims that you were making. So when you make the claim that we find somebody's body under a hospital, I'm not asking you to give other examples of instances in which we see tunnels under hospitals, quote unquote. I'm asking you for the evidence that you derived this claim from. But now I'm going to answer your question.
And I
right?
responded, right? I said that the IDF had retreated.
Yep. I cannot generally listen to this clown lie second longer. Fair enough. May Allah have mercy on Yahya Sinwar and all of his martyrs. Peace be upon those who follow the guidance. Yep. Jazakallah khair, Izzy. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I understand. The thing is that, we have to, in my opinion, we have to listen to some uncomfortable conversations, mostly because, it helps us understand the other side. It helps us get closer to the truth. And I know this isn't, this can be triggering for some people, for most people. I mean, honestly, it's crazy that we have people that will blatantly close their eyes onto the truth that people are starving, that there's a famine happening in the year 2026, and so it's horrific in every imagination, but yeah, for at least for me, yes, this is entertainment, of course. At the same time, I am curious about, one, how do we combat this? How do we combat the truth? What are some of the things that we can say when people, say these horrific lies?
His body successfully from there, which is also on video.
That's not you citing an evidence. That's you making a claim. But irrespective of that, now I'm going to have to answer your question, right? You said, okay, how exactly do we prove that Israel is attempting to commit a genocide or
That they have the
committing a
intent to
genocide?
genocide the Palestinians.
Yes, absolutely. Do you agree that we can infer intent from actions?
Not entirely. I think that you'd have to show me some specific military objectives that directly show a disregard for the Palestinian safety that do not coincide with valid military objectives.
I mean, when bombing of masjid during Ramadan in Gaza, 2024. Palestinians killed in Israeli bombing of Gaza as Ramadan begins. When was this? March 11th of 2024. I mean, attack killed 3 people on the first night of Ramadan. An Israeli air attack killed 3 people on the first night of Ramadan in Gaza, where there are severe shortages of food and water, and people have been offering prayers in bombed out mosques.
So you said not.
Let's go on passerby. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Not necessarily exactly, right? So we can't independently infer intentions from actions?
No.
Or on its own?
No.
Okay, so let's do this then. We're going to have to appeal to something as simple as this speech. Now, are you familiar with the clip where Benjamin Netanyahu explicitly compares what's going on in Palestine with the Amalekites? And are you familiar with who the Amalekites were?
Yes.
All right, who were the Amalekites?
They were the biblical enemies of biblical Judea.
Okay, and what did God say that you were supposed to do to them?
That you are supposed to annihilate them.
Annihilate all.
Oh, dude. Oh, mate. Korra. Man, good for her. Yeah, you're supposed. Just so we can get a reminder. 1 Samuel 15. I think it's 27 through 28, right? 27 through 28. Is that correct? No. 1 Samuel 15. Let's see, women. No, is it not 1 Samuel? And the sword was made so your mother will be childless among women. No, this isn't it. Alright, I'll have to find the Bible verse later.
All of them, correct?
Yeah.
Women, children, infants, camels, donkeys. Does that sound like genocide to you?
No, because when you're looking at it.
15:3. Is it 15:3? Oh, here it is. You're all right. Okay. Now go and attack Amalek. Utterly destroy all that they have. Okay, I took. Yeah. Thank you, football. Jazakallah here. Thank you, football. Now go and attack Amalek. If you guys can you? Sorry. So this is 1 Samuel 15:3. Jazakallah here. Now go and attack Amalek. Utterly destroy all that they have, and do not spare them. Kill both man and woman, infant and nursing child, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. Yeah, that's the classic one, huh? That's rough.
Netanyahu was specifically referencing Hamas in this speech. What you're trying to do is take things out of context. And if you're going to go down the route of using words in order to infer genocide, then I'm going to have to ask you to basically excuse a lot of statements that have come out from Hamas's own leadership, such as Fatih Hamad, who openly states that they will cleanse the land of the filth of the Jews. And this is something in which he directly references the Jews, unlike Netanyahu. So I would need you to show me direct military.
Low-key based. Low-key based.
Military objectives that have been carried out with the disregard for the lives of the Palestinian, because that is at direct odds with the actions that the IDF has taken, like I said, through evacuation notices, even risking their own soldiers' lives as well as the lives of hostages in order to give Gazans time to leave, despite the fact the Gazan population overwhelmingly supports Hamas.
Okay, perfect. So the point that I was making is you made the claim that Benjamin Netanyahu was specifically talking about Hamas. Now, I've watched the entirety of the clip, and nowhere is Hamas mentioned whatsoever. So I'm going to ask, what's the likeness between the Amalekites and the group that he's speaking about? What's the likeness?
The likeness is that they are both enemies of the state of Israel.
But they're also would be considered Arabs, huh?
Okay, and were those women, children, infants, camels, and donkeys enemies of the state of Israel?
In biblical times, but I would also like for you to focus on what's currently happening. And once again, please show me a military objective that shows a direct lack of care for the lives of the Palestinians, or even a step further, that they directly want to genocide them. Because again, what you're failing to prove is dula specialis, a requirement of genocide.
Okay, yes, and the point that's being made is when we see Benjamin Netanyahu explicitly
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother Mohammed. What's going on, bro? How we doing?
what's going on to the Amalekites, and the Amalekites were in fact genocided, then that in and of itself is an evidence of intent. Unless you want to say that, okay, so women, infants, camels, sheep, and donkeys is not a genocide?
I did see that, that's right. So, okay, because I know Korra debated a couple people. So this is the one that's begging for, that's begging for a rematch. That's hilarious.
So this is through biblical times. Again, they were overall enemies.
No, we're at the beginning. So we're at the beginning. I would say nothing. This is funny. Wow, perfect timing. Nothing like okay. You know, like if we're like in a like football, like American football, we're at like the first quarter, okay, like or NBA, like basketball. We're at the first quarter. First quarter thought process is that, you know, she sounds very intelligent. She does sound intelligent. She has some interesting, you know, questions that are very targeted. But, you know, the main thing that they're debating right now is she's saying that Israel hasn't shown any intent of genocide or like disrespect or something like that, essentially. And so I showed you guys that on literally the first night of Ramadan, like that Israel hasn't done any like military expeditions to show intent of genocide or harm of the Palestinian people, which is absolute C-rap. But then yes, as I showed you guys on the first day of Ramadan 2024 and other times during Ramadan too, they bombed multiple masjids
of the state of Israel. I would love to know, right? Because in that specific speech, what Netanyahu also talks about is the extent in which they are taking to minimize and prevent civilian casualties. You've completely left that part out of the speech, which I find to be quite interesting. But I would also love to know, once again, what direct military objectives have shown that Israel is trying to annihilate the Palestinian people. Because I will show you not just quotes from Hamas leadership, not just quotes from Palestinian Authority leadership, not just quotes from Arab commissions back even in 1937 openly stating that there is no country of Palestine, right? I will show you not just these words, but I will also show you the fact that Hamas and the PA and all of these other groups have specifically put forth military objectives to annihilate the Jewish people. So I would love if we could remove ourselves from biblical times, right? Because we are not focused on that. And if you could show me actual evidence moving forward that these words, which by the way, the Hague themselves literally has a quote about Amalek.
Okay, geez, man. Okay. It's a little exhausting, but here we go.
Hanging up in their office, right? So I would be curious if you think that they are also trying to commit genocide. Show me actual tangible evidence, not just words.
Wait, so we're not just going to use words. So what exactly do we use to establish intent? Because previously, when I asked you, can we infer intent from actions, you said independently no, which is why I went to speech and I went to what Benjamin Netanyahu said about Amalek. That's exactly why we got here. So
Yes.
the point that I made, and I asked you a question, it wasn't answered. You said that the likeness between the Amalekites and what's going on here is that they were both enemies to the state of Israel. I asked you a question. Were the women, infants, sheep, camels, and donkeys enemies to the states of Israel, which directly correlates to what's happening today because women and children are dying in Palestine at the hands of Israel at extremely large rates. So I'm going to have to ask you very simply, because Benjamin Netanyahu he's very explicit. He likens them to Amalek. Do you agree that the women, children, camels, and donkeys, as per
Oh man, this could be insane. Okay. Okay. Benjamin Netanyahu comparing Palestinians to, I messed that up, to Amalek. Okay, so this was, when was this? When was this written? Here we go. When was this written? Can we get a timestamp? Inshallah. Alright, I don't know. I think this was written in, it says November 3rd, so this was about a month. And we have Netanyahu saying, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israelis were united in the fight against Hamas, whom he described as an enemy of uncomparable cruelty. They are committed to completely eliminating this evil from the world. So I guess Israel is going to eliminate Hamas. Netanyahu said in Hebrew, he added, "You must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our holy Bible, and we do remember." Okay, so he literally, okay, perfect. Point Korra. That's good. That's a good response by her.
what Benjamin Netanyahu is likening what's
Oh no, this girl is one. If you're saying this girl is Christian, she is not Christian. I don't want to like you know, like if you guys think I'm Jewish, I mean, come on, dude. Like this girl is totally Jewish. She is not Christian.
going on here are also enemies to the state of Israel and thus are subject to annihilation?
Right. So again, I did answer your point. What I had said is that if you look, Benjamin Netanyahu directly in that speech, which you so conveniently leave out, is.
Let's see. You didn't see the clip of him saying, "My people come from the." I've not seen that clip. Is that Netanyahu?
That he talked about how the
Oh, that's a Star of David.
IDF is specifically taking extreme precaution to minimize civilian casualties.
I look Turkish. It's because I have a beard. But yeah, without the beard and the long curly hair, man, it's rough. It's rough out here, man.
You sitting there saying that we have seen a unusually high rate of casualties amongst women and children is simply not true. Even the UN has come out and openly stated that they have had to change the number of women and children casualties 3 different times, slashing it by over 50%, because when you go through the list of casualties, you will see people named Muhammad listed as women. You will see people that are 21 listed as children. It also completely disregards the fact that Hamas is inherently committing a war crime through their recruitment of child soldiers. If you're familiar with something called the Saplings of Jerusalem summer camp, for example, they recruit children as young as 10 years old, in which they indoctrinate them with an extremist ideology, forcing them to believe that the Jews are the cause of all their problems, teaching them the.
I mean, bruv, the thing is that, like, and this is just how sad, this is just the truth, this is the truth of the situation, and it's incredibly sad and depressing that this is the reality for children in Gaza. When you see your little sisters like die of starvation, you see your parents bombed, right? You see the house, your family house destroyed into rubble, and then the only thing that you have left, the only way you can survive is by joining Hamas. I'm not saying this is like this happens for every single Palestinian child, but this does happen. Like this is like when you know, when people join gangs, right? When people join gangs in America, it's because, yeah, like they don't have anyone else that will defend them. They have no one else in their lives to defend them. so they're forced to join gangs. It's the very same thing, but like it's on steroids, 1000x. When everyone in your life has been destroyed, your family house has been destroyed, you know, you're starving from the lack of food, from the famine in 2026. It's not that they are being programmed by this extremist ideology. It's that they're being put into extremist situations where they have to join extremist groups that are forced to the edge, where October 7th, unfortunately, has to happen. You can argue whether it's justified or not justified. I'm not intelligent enough to make that decision here, but they were pushed to such an extreme level that the only response was to do an outlash such as that, as horrific as it was. But 70 years of usurping land, genocide, no state, not being observed by the United Nations, having land usurped, having your land bombed, it pushes people to extreme levels, unfortunately, and that's just the truth of the matter.
Quote unquote correct way to kidnap Jews, and also teaching them how to execute people. There are videos and photos, and this is something that Hamas themselves openly promotes. So once again, I'm asking you, please do not just go based off of empty words, because if you look at the actual death count, you would see, according to John Spencer, who is known as the urban godfather of modern combat, teaches it at West Point, the most highly decorated military academy America has, that Israel actually has the lowest civilian to combatant death ratio in modern history through their extensive care to minimize civilian casualties, despite the fact Hamas does not have a single military base. They do not wear military uniforms. They have embedded themselves entirely throughout the civilization of Gaza. And there were over 4,000 Gazan civilians, need I remind you, who broke in alongside Hamas on October 7th and went so far as to hold hostages in their own homes, hide Hamas from the IDF. Not a single one of them came forward when Israel offered a financial reward as well as safe evacuation to give information on the whereabouts of the hostages. So again, please show me direct military objectives that would prove dualis specialis. Show me Israel saying and acting alongside their words that they want to commit a genocide.
I mean, the Amalek connection was a great call by Korra
Against the Palestinian, and also substantiate how, if that's their intent, they've been unable to do so for 76 years.
Okay, so I'm going to be 100% transparent with you. You went on, and my question still wasn't answered because it was a yes or no question. I asked you, Benjamin Netanyahu likens them to Amalek. Are the women, children, infants, camels, and donkeys enemies of the state of Israel? It's a yes or no question. Can I get a yes or no?
You can't, because it's a false equivalency.
Oh, it's a false equivalence? But you said
Yes.
that's the likeness between Amalek and what Netanyahu was talking about.
No, I specifically pointed out Hamas. If you think that there are women and children
Benjamin
in Hamas,
Netanyahu
you'd
does
be
not say Hamas.
correct, but
He doesn't say Hamas.
yeah,
What are you
so
getting at?
again, if you look at the entirety of the speech rather than the
I have.
cherry-picked quote that you're trying to point out, you would see that he is very specifically talking about Hamas. But could you please show me the direct
No, I
military?
have. Wait, no,
You
I
can
have,
show
and we
me.
can wait. I have actually looked at the entirety of the speech. He never
didn't bring it
clarifies Hamas. And
Right.
wait, I can play it if you'd like, but he never
So,
specifies
again-
Hamas. So where are we getting this from? And
Right,
if it's a
so
false
if you
equivalence,
look-
and wait, hold on. And if it's a false equivalence, then go ahead and give me the third option.
Right, so I feel like I've pretty heavily explained it. You're trying to say that Benjamin Netanyahu is making the
I mean, hold on. Just for argument's sake and just for clarity of mind, did the UN announce a famine in Gaza? So this was August, almost a year ago. This is irrefutable testimony. It is a famine. The Gaza famine. UN Relief Chief Tom Fletcher told reporters in Geneva. So don't worry, guys. We're not only just bombing them, we're carpet bombing them, we're destroying infrastructure. It's just poor farming. It's just poor farming, guys. It's not a genocide. It's like, yes, there are people dying. Tens of thousands of people have died. Almost 100,000 people have died. if not more. They've bulldozed roads so military can have more access. They've pushed the border more and more, taken more land. But no, it's poor farming, guys. It's poor farming. It's a famine. They're just bad farmers.
Claim that he wants to annihilate everybody, everything in Gaza. This is at direct odds with the actual actions that he and the military have been carrying out. Let me ask you a simple yes or no question. If you wanted to annihilate an entire population from a land, right, that is your specific objective, would you give them evacuation notice?
All right. Someone's saying that there could be otherwise. Okay, so this is news. Alright, so it does say World Famine Authorities warn most Gazans still suffering crisis-level hunger, although the Gaza Strip is no longer officially enduring a famine. Let's just say this is 1000% the truth, right? Well, I'm not gonna... let's say this is not like some propaganda. But upgrading from famine to crisis-level hunger doesn't seem like much of an upgrade. I'm just being straight up. That doesn't seem like much of an improvement. I'm just looking at it from I'm judging a book by a cover right now.
Is prior to bombing a specific military zone.
Okay, to be 100% transparent with you, again, my question was not answered. I said, give me the third option if it's a false equivalence. Where's the false equivalence here?
I just explained it to you for, I think, the
No,
fourth
I'm
time
asking
now.
for the last option. He likens what's going on to Amalek. He never qualifies Hamas.
Amongst
You said,
Hamas.
and at the beginning, wait, hold on. He never qualifies Hamas, not a single time.
does.
Now the point, well, we can play it and we can hear it, but the point that's being made here is I began this conversation with how do we establish intent? I said, can we do it via actions? You said, no, not independently. I'm bringing you words where Benjamin Netanyahu is likening what's going on to Amalek, which is very obviously a genocide, unless you want to say that the women, children, infants, camels, and donkeys in 1 Samuel were enemies to the children of Israel, to which, I mean, that's a very questionable statement in and of itself, but the point that's being made is if actions aren't enough to infer intention, and these words where he's likening it to a genocide within the Bible are not enough, then how can we establish intention? How? Does Israel need to come out and literally say verbatim, yeah, we want to eradicate all of the Palestinians? Does that need to take place?
Yeah, so actually, if you look at the speech itself, he specifically does say destroying Hamas. So you're wrong on that aspect of the speech. You would all.
Yep, walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Trying to crash out challenge. Fair enough. But yeah, thank you for joining.
Also, the speech that you use kind of defeats your own purpose, right? Because if you look at what he says throughout the entirety of the speech, he talks about minimizing civilian casualties. Is that what was done amongst the Amalek? No, it wasn't. Because again, he's talking.
Yeah, Zesty comment alert. It's okay. It's nothing new.
Talking about Hamas. So I would like you to answer my question once again, because you can't just look at things through actions alone or through words alone, which is why I've asked you to directly link the words to the actions. The same way that I could show you, right, Yahya Sinwar's speeches in which he talks about annihilating the Jews. I could show you the military objectives from October 7th, the written out plan that includes massacring as many people as possible, including men, women, and children, and burning kibbutz to the ground, while on video, something that Hamas unfortunately did a lot of in order to instill fear in the Jews, and they also wanted to inspire an uprising in Judea and Samaria, as well as in Lebanon and the overall Arab countries, right? So I could show you his words, which, like I just stated, right, the Hamas military objectives, and then I could show you what was actually carried out, which was the October 7th massacre, in which they had the intent to kill as many Israelis as possible, going so far as to shoot 9-month-old babies point-blank range, such as we saw with Mila Cohen, kidnapping 9-month-old babies like we saw with Kafir Bibas, who was later strangled to death, with absolutely no regard for Israeli life, right? So I could show you how the words translated to the actions, meeting the dualis specialis.
Bro, give up this thesis, bruv.
You have yet to be able to do that. What you have proven so far is that Netanyahu gave a speech in which he directly talked about minimizing civilian casualties, something that we could directly link to the IDF's actions. So once again, please answer my yes or no question. If you wanted to annihilate an entire civilization, would you give them an evacuation notice? Would you give them roof knocking bombs in order to tell them to evacuate an area? Would you make your military lose their lives in order to protect that of your enemies? Yes or no, Korra?
Okay. Perfect. So the point that's being made, we're going to have to talk even further about genocide and the definition of genocide. So you said, okay, we have Benjamin Netanyahu in this very speech saying that he wants to minimize civilian deaths. So I have a question. What's the percentage of individuals that are dying in Gaza that are civilians?
Unfortunately, we don't know, as the Gaza Ministry of Health, which is openly run by Hamas, has openly stated throughout multiple interviews that they do not distinguish between civilian or combatant casualties.
Okay, well, fortunately speaking, we do actually.
I'm just like, yo, is brother SNEAKO locked in? Like, what's going on? I wonder if he's locked in or not. Delayco question versus question. Yeah, Zio's cooking her. Korra don't want to answer yes or no, but wants her to answer yes or no, but she keeps running. Oh wow, okay, so he's got the 7K people in the chat.
We have sources pertaining to how many civilians died. It's 83%. Now, let me ask you a question.
Who?
Wait, hold on. Now, let me ask. That's a good question. Sources from who? Were the sources that Hamas were doing anything to babies whatsoever?
Yeah, so I just listed 2 babies to you, Mila Cohen.
I asked you for sources. I didn't ask you for names.
Sure. So if you look, Hamas has openly returned the body of Kafir Bibas, and the source of him being strangled to death would be the autopsy report that was unfortunately done. His little body did have injuries that were consistent with strangulation, the finger marks on his neck, the injuries that we saw in his neck. And this is something that's also corroborated by other child hostages. Yigal Yaakov, during an interview with N12 News, talked about how he was threatened to be killed because he was crying too loudly. He was beaten with a piece of plywood because he went to a window without permission of his captors. And once again, Kafir Bibas's abduction is very public, right? It's on video alongside his mother, Shiri, and his father, Yarden, as well as his 3-year-old brother, Ariel. Now, Shiri, his mother, his brother, Ariel, and Kafir were all publicly murdered, and then Hamas paraded their bodies through the streets upon giving their bodies back to Israel, except Shiri's body wasn't returned at the correct time. They pulled a fast one. But again...
I'm going to be honest with you. I do have to interrupt you because you didn't do what I asked you. I didn't ask you.
So I gave you the sources, right? And 12
Wait, no.
News.
Okay, there we go. That's
12 News from Yigal Yaakov, right? The medical autopsy report of Kafir Bibas's body, right? And then if you want to look up the casualty count, you could see that the youngest victim was Mila Cohen, who was shot at point blank range. But what you're doing is kind of shifting it from your burden of proof, because you made a very hefty...
You made a positive claim. It's
yeah, and then
when you
I
make
just...
a positive claim, you present evidence.
That's fine.
And another point that you made... Wait, hold on. And I'm sorry.
No, not...
This is gonna get dicey here. I can feel it, dude. Here it goes. I never laughed this hard for a while. I could just tell it's about to turn sour. It's getting a little dicey here. Yo, SNEAKO's just mean mugging the chat. He's like, I don't like, are lights on? Home? Like, it seems like lights on. No one's home right now. Like, what's the deal? Yeah, we don't care. Sources, not statements. Also true. Yap. Yeah, Yaposaurus Rex. She should join the ICF. Facts. Yo, Dev's Epstein class. Top tier comment.
Hold on, because unfortunately you made an outline.
Yeah, I know I wasn't, the most, I wouldn't say entertaining, but meaning, like, I haven't been the most, like, engaging host with you, Nats, since I don't know if this is your first time here, but thank you for coming. It seemed like you were showing us respect, and, that's my goal. If you show us respect, we're going to absolutely show you respect back. So we appreciate you being inquisitive. We appreciate you asking questions. I hope you join us again soon in the future, God willing.
Outlandish claim that 83% of casualties in Gaza have been civilians.
Yes, and that
what is your source for that?
Yes, I do have articles in front of me that I can establish that using, but
great, so do that.
Wait one moment. And another point that needs to be made is we're gonna have to catch you out on a contradiction. Did you or did you not say that Israel has, out of modern history, the lowest civilian casualty rate? Did you not make that claim?
Yeah, so what I said specifically is that John Spencer, the godfather of modern urban combat, a professor at West Point, stated that Israel has the lowest civilian to combatant death ratio in modern urban warfare history regarding the war in Gaza. Now, could you
I thought we didn't know how many civilians passed away.
Yeah, so what we've been able to do is take Hamas's own numbers of who they've been willing to admit have been killed. And then from there, we've also been able to see the military advances, the direct military objectives, Israel going...
Nats Nats is a she. Nats is a she. Don't worry, we do that to our Muslim sisters all the time. we do that to our Muslim sisters all the time. But yeah, but thank you for joining us, Nats. We appreciate the dialogue. It's very refreshing, honestly. It's very refreshing having, you know, Christians who ask very good questions and by no means are trying to be disrespectful. Alhamdulillah. So thank you for joining. Have a good night.
And evacuating the civilians, right? So with Hamas's own numbers, we have been able to dictate that it has been 2 civilians per 1 combatant death ratio. So could you...
So using Hamas's numbers, you said?
Israeli army database suggests at least 83% of so this is the database of the IDF, suggests at least 83% of Gaza dead were civilians.
Yeah. So
okay,
we know that it's
so we do know. Do we know or do we not? Because you just made the claim previously about 2 minutes ago that we do not know how many civilians passed away.
Korra, you made a claim. It's
wait, hold on. Did you not make the claim that we can't know how many civilians passed away?
No, what I said specifically is that the Gaza Ministry of Health openly admits they do not distinguish from civilians to combatants.
No, you said unfortunately we are not aware. When I asked you how many, I asked you what the percentages. You said we don't know, correct?
Nope. What I said is the Gaza Ministry.
You did say that verbatim.
I did not. I said the Gaza Ministry of Health openly admits that they do not distinguish from combatants to civilians.
And what did you say right before? Wait, hold on. What did you say right before that? I asked you a question. You said, unfortunately, we do not know. So how exactly do we reconcile?
I will probably, so there's a lot of debates that we got to watch. I'm probably going to be doing a lot of streaming this week, inshallah, just to kind of catch up. But yeah, it's the 1v10. I mean, I know there's a lot of crap on Twitter. I know a lot of a Dawa people are giving Sheikh Uthman, if he's actually really real Sheikh or not. I don't really know. I don't mean that in a disrespect. I've just seen claims. I know people are giving him a lot of, backlash, like, why are we platforming people who have disrespected the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which, I mean, GL, Avery did, I mean, come on, man. He did astaghfirullah, but like just like a month ago, he called the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam a homosexual, which is ridiculous, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then yeah, platforming them, we'll see, man. Yeah, no, views have been good, man. It's like honestly like. I mean, I love streaming. I know I've been a little bit, not. He said he didn't know. Oh, so Sheikh Uthman's. But I mean, dude, how do you not know that though? Or someone, either one, how do you not know that, or how does someone in your circle not know that? How does someone in your circle that is watching you plan this 1v10 not know that? Like, not one person in your circle that works for you or whatever not know that the biggest Christian influencer that's going to hop onto your platform for a video called the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam a homosexual. Like, that it's I don't know if that's an excuse or whatever, but I mean, come on, man. You gotta, maybe he's not scoping Twitter like us young folk. I don't know, man, but. Yeah, we're probably going to watch it, though. No, we most definitely will. I don't know when, but yeah, I'm going to stream Monday. I might even do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday stream. I might do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He skips homework. Yeah, I mean, come on, that's a basic one. That was just like about a month ago he said that. But yeah, we'll probably do like a three days, like not 3 days in a row, but I mean, not continue. You guys understand what I'm talking about.
The contradiction between you saying we do not know how many civilians passed away and simultaneously saying that Israel in modern history has the lowest civilian casualty rate. How do we reconcile those two contradictory statements?
So what you're doing is conveniently leaving out the other half of my sentence, right? Because I said in this specific war in Gaza. What you've also yet to do when asked for a source to back up the outlandish claim of 83%, you've tried to switch the conversation. So far, your only source was, I have articles. What are the articles, Korra?
All right, sure. Yeah, so we have an article right here on The Guardian where it explicitly states, that the civilian death rate in quote-unquote selected conflicts, Gaza between 2023 and 2025, is 83%. Now, I'll ask you a question even further on this. So of this,
one moment, sorry.
And
what source? Wait, what was your question?
Now I'll ask you a question even further on this. So
And what
of this,
source
wait, hold
does
on,
the
and of this,
Guardian
wait,
give?
one moment, sorry. And of this number, let me ask you a question. Since now that I've answered your question with a source, I want my question answered. How do we reconcile the contradiction between you saying we do not know how many civilians passed away and Israel has, and by the way, I asked you that specifically in reference to Gaza. So it is in fact directly correlated with the statement you made pertaining to modern.
Be fair, they said that, but first guy. Yeah, I'm not saying that didn't happen. And fair, like I'll give credit where credit is due. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think people were saying, like, if I'm starting to remember a little bit more that, like, Paul had something with some guy, was it James or someone else, Peter, which is like that, like, to absolutely absolutely without a doubt, like that's super whack. Like, that shouldn't happen. There's not even any point to even try to do something like that. But yeah, yeah, man, dude, that month or two, like 6 weeks of like all that like London beef with like Orthodox Muslim, and then that one other like British bloke who was like, they had some scrap. Like one of like OM's friends or just some like bystander punched him in the face. Man, the scene's down bad, bro. The scene's down bad.
Modern history and Israel's essentially track record in terms of civilian casualties.
Well, that's true. I didn't watch that. I didn't watch that entire. I only saw clips on Twitter, but I do remember someone saying that, provoking it. So yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. I give. I'll be without a doubt. You got to be fair in the criticism. So I mean, I condemn both without a doubt.
So why did you end up contradicting yourself in one moment saying that we do not know how many civilian casualties we have, and another moment saying that Israel has done a phenomenal job at essentially lowering the casualties of civilians and that they have the lowest rate in modern history? How do we reconcile this contradiction between these two statements that you made?
Yeah, so I'll answer all of that. First of all, the Guardian article that you're using, if you actually look at its primary source is exactly what I stated, which is the Gaza Ministry of Health, because there have been no independent verifications of the death toll. Once again, the Gaza Ministry of Health is openly run by Hamas, does not dictate between civilians and combatants, and
It says IDF database.
it's just not really a good source of information. I feel like I explained it pretty well the first time, but if you still feel there's a contradiction, I have no problem explaining it a second time. If you look, right, what the numbers were going based off of that John Spencer specifically used were the named Hamas combatants that the IDF intelligence had been able to come out and confirm. Look,
I'm not 1000% confident, but I'm like pretty sure someone did call Paul a homosexual. Like, I will say James did, you know, allow me to remember this, where I'm pretty sure someone did. But I can't say that with absolute confidence, though. But again, it's one of those things where I condemn both, for sure. Which is like, mate, like if I can just be real, for a second. Some of these Dawa people online, are they really doing Dawa? Like, I mean, just being honest. Are some of these Dawa people really doing Dawa? Now, when I say this, I don't mean Orthodox Muslim or Korra in this. I think they're doing amazing. I had some critiques about them in the beginning of the year, but I think what they do is some of the best that we have. But I mean, some of these Dawa guys, it's just like, there needs to be a little bit more sunnah, a little bit more manners, a little bit more respect, a little bit more patience. I don't even know exactly who I mean. When I see clips, and when I see some of this stuff, when they, when their tongue becomes a sword, and they use it just to lash out and whatever. It's just, and maybe it's like, and maybe this is like more of like the speakers corners people and like like I'm probably like when I look back in the memory bank, it's probably just more from people like speakers corner or like, you know, stuff from like London, like, you know, people doing Dawa in London. But like it's just like some of these guys aren't really doing it. But again, that I'm not saying Orthodox Muslim and I'm not saying Korra, they're doing pretty good. You know, they were being a little bit trying to dunk on people in the beginning of the year, but you know, and there was that thing with that I really didn't like when they were like looking at, you know, Avery's wife's Instagram. Like that was pretty weird, not gonna lie, that was pretty weird. It's just, and I get it, there's a lot of disrespect and all that stuff and whatever. No, for sure. There has to. And when I say this too, like, I know I'm on a soapbox. I know I'm on a total tangent away from the point of this video, but, and yes, like at some point you do have to respond for sure. I don't know what that limit looks like, for sure, but like, you know, like just throwing around like, oh, you know, Paul is a homosexual. It's just that's just. Did that really? Because like you know what's gonna happen, right? When you make these statements, the issue with the scene, right, is that, from my opinion, right, and my opinion's biased. I'm a revert Muslim. You know, I believe in the one true God, Allah. You know, la wahdahu la. I was gonna say Dicker, but ashadu Allah anna la ilaha illallah wa ashadu Allah Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Sorry. Speaking too fast here, but obviously, I believe in this religion. I believe in the Quran is the infallible word of God. It's the uncreated word of God. I believe that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the true prophet and the greatest example for this world to follow. But it's like the issue is that the way the online debate scene is that it's when I say they just. You know, I specifically mean like Christian apologetic influencers who debate. They want to egg you on, so you take the shovel and you go a layer deeper, because then they're going to go a layer deeper, and then you're going to go a layer deeper, and then you're calling everyone gay. And then you're calling everyone gay. That's the issue that I have. But yeah. Anyways, okay. And so, okay, I know we're at a lull period anyways, unfortunately. Okay, but halftime break, I do have to pray Asr. I do have to pray Asr here, inshallah. And so we are going to go to, we're going to do a quick, what should we watch? Okay. We're gonna put this video on while I pray. Can I? Nope. Sorry. Praying Asr. Yeah. No, don't worry. We got a lot to watch. Praying Asr. So building on top. Need to sleep. All right. Yep. Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam. All right. I'm gonna pray Asr, and then we'll get back into it. Jazakallah here. But yeah, we'll be back in around like 5 minutes or so. Of the previous videos about why I left Christianity and, you know, me telling my parents about me becoming a Muslim, I wanted to create this next video on things that I believe that are very important for a new Muslim to know. Some of the topics in this video are things that I was actually doing before I even became a Muslim, and some of these things I unfortunately delayed until like I was already a Muslim for a year. And so if I was to go back in time from ground zero, here are things that I would personally do, and I would make sure I would not delay, and I would master them immediately. And a lot of the reasons why I believe these are important is because there's different hadiths that talk about some of the blessings and benefits of, either fasting or praying, as well as just some anecdotal evidence here. I just feel like my nerves have calmed down, my anxiety has gone away from practicing and putting myself out there, and again, practicing different traditions within this faith. The first one I wanted to cover was all the different steps of prayer. This is the most important pillar in our faith. It really is what distinguishes us from being a non-Muslim to a Muslim, is praying 5 times a day, right? This is an action that every Muslim hopefully does, inshallah, 5 times a day, right? Things like Ramadan or paying zakat or doing Hajj, right? You might do, you're going to do that like once a year, right? But particularly praying, you're going to be doing that 5 times a day. And so you should immediately master all the different steps in Arabic. So Surah Al-Fatiha needs to be memorized immediately, right? I mean, this is something that you're going to recite a minimum of 17 times a day, and without it, your prayer is invalid. So you must immediately memorize Surah Al-Fatiha in Arabic. And of course, you need to memorize, the things that you say when you bow, the things that you say when you prostrate. And the hardest part would be then memorizing the Tashahhud as well as the Salatul Ibrahim. This is something that I personally delayed. I memorized Surah Al-Fatiha immediately, but the different ending portions like the Tashahhud as well as the Salatul Ibrahim are something that I did delay in my journey of becoming a Muslim. Up until recently, I actually didn't even memorize the final parts of this prayer. But now the fact that I can pray fully in Arabic, it just, it brings a lot of it makes me feel more calm inside. It's something that I just feel like I'm now able to take that step closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. And of course, during my optional prayers, like the different sunnah prayers, I ask more in dua, of course, where I can speak in English. But trust me, just master the parts of prayer, because again, this is something that God directly gave to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It's the most important pillar in our faith, and you are just going to get more blessings when you're able to say peace and blessings upon the messenger, especially at the end of prayer. So first and foremost, just get down these different parts of the prayer. One of my friends, actually, he's a brand new revert, and he memorized all this stuff immediately, mashallah. And something that he did was that he had a printed paper that the mosque gave it to him. But what I would do, if you don't have this, like if the mosque won't provide you a piece of paper with all the different steps of prayer and we're doing all this stuff, I would make your own document, and I would have it in the Arabic transliteration. And honestly, when you're doing prayer, just use it as like a cheat sheet, right? Use it as a cheat sheet. So you're constantly repeating it. You're constantly doing it in your prayers. So even in your prayers, you're spending time trying to memorize it. And if he went from not knowing anything back in when he did his Shahada in March, all the way to now, he memorized all this stuff even before me, and I've been Muslim for way longer than him, mashallah. So please, this is something that I truly, highly recommend that you need to memorize first, are all the different steps on how to pray in Arabic in order to continue to seek the blessings from Allah Azza wa Jal. So to build up on top of prayer, you should also memorize the last 3 surahs of the Quran: Surah Ikhlas, Surah Al-Falaq, and Surah An-Nas. And the reason why, well, one, Surah Ikhlas, it's in our tradition, in the Islamic tradition, where if you recite that surah 3 times, it's like you read the entire Quran in one day, right? So imagine all of the barakah and the blessings just from memorizing a surah that has, it's 4 verses, it's 4 sentences, it's super short, right? Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. Right? It's so easy to memorize. And so you should memorize that one first, because again, there's not only just blessings and reward from memorizing, but then on top of that, right, there's protection in all those 3 surahs. And there's a lot of protection in many different surahs, like Surah Baqarah, Surah Fajr, Surah Al-Duhan, right? There's so many different blessings in all, especially in the last, 10 or 20 surahs of the Quran. But specifically, memorize. All right, we're back in. What? Sorry. All right, we're back in. Okay. Thank you guys for who stayed. Let's finish the rest of this video. Bismillah.
Looking at that, because you also have to take into consideration that Hamas were not the only combatants that were involved in October 7th and the subsequent fighting with Israel. There was also the PIJ. There were the 4,000 Gazan civilians that I had previously mentioned that broke in alongside Hamas on October 7th. There were Gazans who openly helped to orchestrate October 7th to plan it out. There were Gazans who were holding hostages in their home, like we saw with Noah Argamani, for example, right? So if you look at the ones that were confirmed to be militants by the IDF, right, on a name basis, they have identified them, they know that they are a combatant, versus these civilians, and that's being generous because unfortunately many people have been taken over and have been brainwashed into actively supporting Hamas in Gaza. You would see that we have Israel rather has the lowest civilian to combatant death ratio in modern urban combat history, specifically.
So she's just lying. Like, that's the deal, right? She's just lying. Like, Israeli database proved that 83% of the people that have been killed have been civilians, so she's just absolutely lying.
During the war with Gaza, what I would love for you to do, right, because this is a question that I asked towards the beginning of the debate, is prove dualis specialis. You have yet to do that. Show me just one, right? I'll be generous. Show me one military directive from the IDF that completely disregards the
We're about halfway point, 34 minutes.
Guarding of civilians with no direct
we got a long way to go, guys.
Military objective.
Okay, perfect. So let's go back, since you want to go back to the beginning of the discussion. Unfortunately, since, a bunch of my questions weren't answered, we're going to have to go back here. The point that I made pertaining to the genocide is that I asked you for a criteria on how we establish intent. You said we can't do it based on solely actions, and based on the statement that I brought up Benjamin Netanyahu, apparently it's not enough to establish in word form. So I'm going to have to ask you very simply, how do we establish intent? What's the criteria?
Right, so I know that you're pro-Palestinian, but here we don't rewrite history. This conversation just took place 20 minutes ago, and what I specifically pointed out is that, number one, you lied. Netanyahu did mention Hamas in his speech. Number two, Netanyahu in that speech also...
Okay, she's just totally diverting. It's a point-blank question. How do you establish the conditions of genocide?
Talked about minimizing civilian casualties, which would directly go against your narrative that he wants to genocide the Gazan people. So like I explained to you back then as well, what you would have to do is show direct statements from both Israeli government officials as well as IDF officials, and then show how they took those words and directly correlated it with military actions that have no real security basis, just seeking to annihilate the Palestinian people. Now,
I mean... They bombed the mosque during Ramadan. I don't think it needs to be that deep.
hope that clears things up. Could you please show me one specific IDF military objective in which they seek to annihilate the Palestinian people?
Okay, very simply, you know what's so interesting? I'm going to have to crack down on your criteria. It's so laughable that you decided to do this. You said that we need to see explicit statements that prove intent, and then we need to correlate it with actions. We need to correlate it with actions, allegedly. Now, let's go ahead and go even further on this. So when we see in this press conference, Benjamin Netanyahu is saying, okay, we're going to liken what's going on to Amalek, even though Amalek wasn't just about combatants, which you're going to say, okay, Hamas, a group of combatants, right? Now, the point that's being made is that Netanyahu is likening it to Amalek as a whole. Not just combatants, civilians, women, children, camels, donkeys. He likens what's going on to Amalek. And then you say, oh yeah, but he says that we're going to try to minimize civilian casualties. Well, to be 100% transparent with you, I don't really care if he says that he's going to do that.
I think they read that in the Quran, not allowed war at Ramadan. Yeah. I mean, that's why they always make their attacks during Ramadan. Because they know that they do it just to literally spit on people's graves. They do it because they you're telling me it's a coincidence that the IDF, the Israeli government, where is it? The Israeli government bombed a mosque on the first night of Ramadan. It's just a coincidence? Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
When in the very statement itself.
Yeah, let's see. Israel bombs mosque on Friday during Ramadan 2025. Well, so Palestinian officials say at least 45 mosques were vandalized or burned by illegal settlers in 2025 alone. But where's the one? We cannot provide a description for this page. It was 2025 though. What is it? Security forces report. That was announced was Israel based on there's no record. That's a lie. In Gaza. It's a drone strike. Israel bombs mosque during Ramadan. Yeah. No, the holy place. Oh, it took during Ramadan. No, it's right here. Did they scrape that? Yes, I'm over 18. They scraped that from the internet. Alright, we're not going to look at it because I'm afraid that this video might get demonetized. I mean, I'm not even monetizing the stream anyways. But I'm afraid I'll get a strike or something. But they scraped that off the internet. Wait, that's crazy. See, it's here. Israel bombs Gaza mosque in the middle of prayer, killing scores of civilians. Israeli airstrikes targeted a mosque in Gaza during Jummah prayers, resulting in the killing of numerous Palestinians. And that, dude, they literally scraped that off of the internet. Wow. It says no mosque bombing by Israel in Gaza on a Friday during Ramadan is reported in the provided context. Yeah. Bombs mosque on Friday. Bombs mosque. Okay, bombs mosque in Gaza during Ramadan. We'll just say 2025. Bloody Sahur. I mean, dude, how many mosques? Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're literally trying to erase the information here. That's crazy. Wow. And yeah, I mean they martyred, the Ayatollah during Ramadan.
He says, well, remember what Amalek did, likening what is going on to Amalek. And it's so sad that we have...
now it makes sense why she keeps saying, oh, show me one source, show me one source. Bro, they've literally scraped it from the internet. They've literally scraped it from the internet.
To go back to this point, because we need to break down the actual context of this biblical passage that he continued to bring on over and over again in this very conference. The point that's being made, and this is exactly why I asked you this question, when we're talking about Amalek is not just a group of combatants. Amalek is an entire group of people, including innocents. And Netanyahu mentions them and likens what's going on to them. So you mentioned, okay, false equivalence. Unfortunately speaking, my friend, Benjamin Netanyahu's words work directly against what you said. God says in the very passage that he's talking about that you need to take them all out. Women, infants, sheep, camels, donkeys. Netanyahu takes this and ascribes it to what's going on. Now, if he's talking about Hamas, then we're going to have to think that he blundered here. Because the point that's being made with the passage
that's facts.
He quoted is that it's not just about combatants. God said to even wipe the innocents out. So do you agree that Netanyahu is using a passage where God commands to wipe out even innocents here? To essentially break down what's going on and say, okay, well, we're going to liken what's going on to these very people?
So just to be clear, you don't have any specific military objectives by the IDF.
Wait, can you answer my question?
So I had asked you a question at the very beginning of
and I cracked down on your criteria. So can you answer my question?
So you
please?
didn't answer my question, though.
Can you answer my question? This question was asked like 20 minutes ago. So can you answer the question
and
now?
I answered it back then. I'll answer it one more time.
No, you didn't, unfortunately, because it's a yes or no.
Yeah,
It's
so
a yes or
I
no
did
question.
answer it for you. But just
Did
to
you
be
answer with
clear,
yes or no?
no, because there's more to it. I know that you're trying to paint
No,
it as
you
a
can
black
do-
and white.
you-
I will say, if you were like not educated and like you had no context of like what is going on in Gaza for the past few years, you would think that she's holding her own. Yeah, I gotta agree. Like she's composed. She's diverting. She's trying to hammer on this what is it? The dulius whatever. The dulius specialis. If you had no context of what was going on, this is honest like you would honestly think that this is the best like person that Korra's ever debated.
You
Topic,
can
but
do
it's
yes
not.
or no and then expound. Like it's as simple as that. So
Sure,
do you
so he's
agree that
not-
Netanyahu is using a passage about wiping out innocence?
But then what if you have the context, you're just like, oh, okay, she's just collecting 7K checks. Yeah, even though 1000%. Like if you just have like an inch of context, you're like, oh, no, she's just collecting 7K checks weekly. Okay, that makes sense.
In relation to what's going on here?
No.
So wait, so the Amalekites, innocents were not wiped out of the Amalekites?
The Amalekites were wicked. But what I would
Were
like
the
you
children
to,
wicked? Wait,
let
wait,
me
were the
finish,
wait? I'm sorry.
Korra.
We're gonna have to.
No, you're
we're gonna
not
have
sorry.
to. No,
No, we're
we're
not
gonna
going
have to
do
break this down
anything.
even
What we're
further.
gonna have to do
We're gonna have to break
is
this.
Bro, all I'm saying is that, mate, this is gonna be like Uber Karen level 10 boss when she's like 40 years old, bro. Like, this is like the most dangerous Karen to ever exist. I could like see it right now that this could be the most like Jewish supremacist Karen to ever exist. Man, it honestly like scares me. It honestly freaks me out.
Down
actually
even further.
focus
Were
on
the
what's
children?
Okay, hold on.
were
I'm
the
gonna
children
interject for a second. There was a lot
Were
of
the children
claims.
wicked?
Hold on, both of you, Korra and Maddie. I want to just bring up several sources because it was there were claims made from both sides, so we could verify. We could also watch the speech, but I don't want to keep on cycling in the limited time we have. So there was a claim from Maddie saying that Gaza Ministry of Health specified that they didn't make a distinction between civilians and military targets. And according to Table Mag, it does verify this. It says the number of civilian casualties in Gaza has been at the center of international tensions since the start of the war. And it says that they don't make a distinction. As well as the 83%, there's a verification from 972 Mag where it says 83% of the Gaza civilians were, of the dead
Dang, that's an L.
people were civilians. And it was another reference to the Guardian source. And I just want to make sure that we get this correct. It says that the Israeli military has said it has located and identified the body of Mohammed Sinwar in the tunnels. That was a claim that Maddie made. That's verified by the BBC. And in the Guardian report, the first one here, it says Israeli military's own data indicates 83% of civilian death rates in Gaza. So apparently this is coming from the IDF. The IDF database listed 8,900 named fighters
Dang, that's dude. Mate, that's down bad.
is dead out of the toll that reached 53,000. So this source is, there's been a lot more deaths since then, but we can, from these sources, the Guardian
Dude, she looks freaked out. Hold on.
source is, there's been a lot more deaths since then, but we can, from these sources, the Guardian, it's saying that it's coming directly from the IDF. The IDF saying that figures presented in the article are, well, they also say it's incorrect. There's a quote here, but they verified
Yeah,
it.
because so I can
But, yeah.
shed some light on that. If you actually look at the initial claim that came out, I believe the initial claim was from 972 magazine. The source that they used was an anonymous IDF source says, and then the actual IDF came out and said we never actually said that. What they were doing was keeping a specific list of Hamas combatants as well as other militants that they were able to 100%.
And it says the Israeli army confirmed the existence of the database, which is managed by the military intelligence, known by the Hebrew acronym AMAN. Multiple intelligence sources familiar with the database said that the army views it as the only authoritative tally of militant casualty figures. In the words of one of them, there's no other place to check.
Confirm. This was not them.
So claimed a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 ratio of civilian to militant casualties, and said the classified data backs up the findings of several studies suggesting Israel's bombardment of Gaza has killed civilians at a rate with a few parallels in modern warfare.
Coming out and saying that the 83% casualty rate was correct by any stretch of the imagination, and nobody has ever come out to verify that quote unquote anonymous source.
Dude, she's so smug. This is the most smuggest person I've ever seen in my life.
It says
Like within the debate universe, she's like, it's like IP, but then bro, like they're the most smug people.
Read it if you'd like.
yeah, reading. I'm looking for where it says an anonymous source. It says that there's multiple intelligence sources, but I'm not.
Maybe Ali Doll was up there somewhere too for smugness, smug level 10 with this one here.
We're all anonymous. That's from the 972 magazine, which is where that initial misinformation stemmed from. But Korra, can you name a single military objective now that
Wait,
meets the
whoa,
threshold
you're not
of
gonna
dual
you're not gonna
exceptionality?
move away from the question that I asked you.
Yeah, so
Is
I've answered
Netanyahu
it
quoting a
about 4
passage
times
that's
now.
no, I asked you, is Netanyahu quoting a passage about innocents being wiped out? You said no. You said that they were all wicked. Were the children, infants, camels, women, and donkeys wicked
During
as well?
the time of the Amalekites, they were wicked.
The children?
Through biblical scripture. Now that I've answered
Wait,
your
what?
question,
No, the children
yes,
were wicked?
I answered your question. I'm not
No,
going to waste more time on
wait,
it.
no, I'm sorry.
The Amalekites
You
during
have
the
to answer
time of the
question.
Bible were wicked. You could
I
take
didn't
that as
ask
you
about
would.
the Amalekites generally. I asked you the children.
Shout out to Dev to Epstein class, man. Them donkeys, bro. Them they got some wicked donkeys, bro.
And
generally.
women. And wait, hold on. I'm asking you about the
This
children.
includes- I
I'm
know
asking you about the children. Are
Yeah.
you telling me that the children were wicked and God said to wipe them all out, and Benjamin Netanyahu's quoting this in relation to what's going on in Palestine?
He's quoting it in relation to what's happening with Hamas because you already tried to cut that part
wait,
out
hold
of
on.
the
And
speech.
a passage that pertains to
Hold on.
unaliving innocents?
You are
Wait,
at this time. No.
Unfortunately, wait, so
Did you watch the interview of Seattler Israeli? They said they come after October 7th and all because October 7th attack time struck with the number 7 in October. What the heck? He said take anonymous IDF Hamas source as fact though. True.
the Amalekites, there weren't innocents within the Amalekites?
No, they were people of wickedness.
The children weren't innocent?
You don't have to get your clip. You could just answer.
Wait, the children weren't
Amalekites,
innocent?
you could take this as you please, and then I am moving on. The Amalekites were not innocent in the time of the Bible. Where Benjamin Netanyahu specifically references this is when he is speaking about Hamas directly. Like I said, he also talks about minimizing civilian casualties. If you think that using the Amalek to talk about a group makes you genocidal, then congratulations, like I already established. You think the Hague is genocidal as they openly quote them in their own main building. So now, I would love if you could do me a favor and answer my question.
Wait, hold on. You still didn't answer
do
me.
Not interrupt
you
me.
still didn't answer me. I asked you, are the children innocent?
I answered your question.
This is getting rough. I'm kind of hitting the wall now, but we're gonna power through this, guys. We're gonna power through it, but I'm hitting the wall. I'm hitting the wall now.
It's a yes or no question. Are the children innocent?
Question. That is
so
only
is it yes or no?
To be fair, I think she did answer the question. She said in the biblical times there weren't. I want to ask both of you. Are you okay if I play the 1 minute clip?
The Amalekites were not innocent.
I didn't ask you that though. I asked what the children were.
What do you think the Amalekites are, Korra? I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get specific.
Wait, I'm hitting the wall, guys.
So the children and the women. Okay, so the children and the women weren't innocent. So let's build.
Could you please? No, let's answer my question.
Hold on. You guys are interrupting each other. Wait a second.
We're gonna have to build there.
Both of you, please. Hold on. Are you okay if we play a clip from the speech and then we can move on to another subject? I think it's fair. I think Maddie did answer. She said the Amalekites were wicked, which includes the donkeys and the children. She's putting it in.
So the children and the women were wiped out by God because they were wicked. Okay, sure.
Okay, are you okay? Can I play the clip from the speech because it's been referenced many times in this conversation?
I mean, you can, but I think, like I directly pointed out to Korra, cherry-picking quotes from speeches have nothing to do with the actual substantiation of if there's a genocide. For example, if you look, I was talking.
Thank you, Eddie.
So
Eddie with 100. Thank
you. If you look at how Bosnia was found guilty for genocide, you would see that what you had to prove was a direct correlation from the specific intent that was laid out by both the government and the military.
All main point, he said IDF not intending to kill kids, they want to kill Hamas. So that's what Netanyahu said?
And then the specific actions that they took against the people. I'm not asking for much here. I'm not even asking for you to prove an overwhelming...
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. CW, what's going on? Welcome. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the reaction.
Amount of evidence in any regard. I'm not asking you to try to corroborate how you think that this is a genocide, but October 7th wasn't. I'm not asking for that. I am asking you to give me one single military objective in which the IDF acted with disregard for the civilians in Gaza without a specific security concern or measure dictating the need to do so.
Fair question.
Please show
Okay.
me one.
Okay, before we get to this, let's play the 1 minute clip from the speech so that we can move on, because I don't want to keep on referencing it, and then Korra can answer your question. I think it was very specific.
And I recommend people watch the entire speech.
Okay, so here it is. If you guys can you guys see the speech?
It says that you
Not
started
yet.
sharing your screen, but it's not. There
There
it
we go.
is.
Are committed to completely eliminate this evil from the world for our existence, and let me add, for the benefit of all of humanity, the entire people and all of Israeli leadership. We all embrace them and believe them. You must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible, and we do remember, and we are fighting. Our brave troops and combatants who are now in Gaza or around Gaza and in all other regions in Israel are joining this chain of Jewish heroes, a chain that has started 3,000 years ago from Joshua ben Nun until the heroes of 1948, the Six-Day War, the 73 October War, and all other wars in this country. Our hero troops, they have one supreme main goal: to completely defeat the murderous enemy and to guarantee our existence in this country. We've always said, never again, never again.
So yeah, I mean, it's direct comparison to the Amalek.
Is now.
Okay, that's the reference, I think. But again, if you recommend people watch the whole speech if you want to, but there's that section. We can go back.
Thank you.
All right, for sure. So you can restate your question.
Great. For the sixth time, Korra, could you name one specific military objective by the IDF that completely disregarded the well-being of the Gazan civilians with no specific security intent by the IDF? Go
Okay.
for it.
All right. Well, let's ask you very simply. Is carpet bombing specific areas in which we can see no evidence whatsoever of which there is some sort of Hamas target or whatever it may be, would you say that that is a disregard for civilians in the area?
I would ask if you could show me a specific military objective that says
I'm asking you a question. Would that be considered
so
a
you're
lack of consideration for civilians? Carpet bombing?
carpet bombing areas in which you claim that
Living
there's
areas.
no so
Yeah.
no proof of Hamas existing.
Yeah, there was no evidence presented that there were some sort of targets in these areas whatsoever. Would you say that that is an instance in which we can say that there was no consideration for the civilians in that area? Would you say that that's an evidence?
I would say please show me the military directive.
Well, wait, I'm asking you a question. Would that be an evidence?
You're asking me a question in regards to my question of asking you for a
Oh,
specific
Lord.
military directive.
I'm asking you for a criteria. See, this is how debates have to go, right? When somebody asks you for an evidence, I ask you, okay, what criteria are we utilizing? Would you say that carpet bombing is an evidence that there is no regard for the civilians in a particular area, that area in which is being bombed? It's a yes or no question.
Great. So when I said show me
Oh man, this is getting extremely painful. What's going on, passerby? I post in your Discord what I mean. All right. Okay. Cool. Man, this is getting rough.
one specific military directive.
It's a yes or no question. Can you please answer? Would that be an example?
Right, but again, I asked you a very simple
Would
question.
that be an example? Can you please
Korra,
answer? Can you
well,
please answer the question?
No,
Listen,
because I
in
asked
order
you a
for us to
specific
engage
question.
in order for us to engage
Korra,
in good
Korra,
faith, you're gonna have
Korra.
to answer the question. Would that be
What?
an evidence under your criteria?
What was the question that I asked you?
I'm asking you a question.
What was
Are you
the
gonna
question
answer?
that I
Are
asked
you
you?
going to answer?
Sure, there has been no carpet bombing of Gaza overall.
I
for
didn't
starters.
ask you that. I didn't ask you that. I asked
Right, so
you,
I don't
would
have
a
to play
carpet
pretend, right? Because the facts are on my side.
I'm not asking you anything apart from, would that be an example of a lack of regard for the civilians in said area? It's a simple yes or no. Would it be an example under the criteria that you posited?
I don't know. I'm not too interested in playing pretend. Could we talk
And
about
I'm not
what's
too
actually
interested in you
going
not
on in
answering
Gaza?
and I'm not too interested in you not answering my questions. Can I get an answer to my question? Would that be an example?
I'm just not used to playing pretend about what's
And
happening
I'm not
in
used to
Gaza.
people not answering my questions.
Bro, dude, just mate, the theatrics, bro. If she needs, if she honestly needs, man, if the opinionated girl really needs it, I'll buy her an Uber, bro. I'll get her an Uber, and we can take and she can take a drive. She can take a car ride to go to her audition for Broadway. I mean, like, bro, like, just answer the question. I hate the theatrics. It's so cringe. It's literally, it's just stressing me out. It's like, bro, if she really needs it, if she's that desperate, we can book her an Uber. We can find a play. We can find an audition. We can get her a Broadway stage. I mean, bro, what is the deal?
Prior to this debate specifically, can you please answer my question?
You mean like you refusing to give
Can
a
you
military
please not answer my
directive?
question? Can you please answer my question? Would
There's
that be an
no
example?
carpet bombing in Gaza.
I
so
didn't ask you
unfortunately, I'm not
that.
going
Maybe I'll
make
have to repeat
believe.
my question. Would that be an example under your criteria?
So there's no military
Are
directive.
you going to answer the question? It's a yes or no.
I don't play pretend.
And I don't like it when people don't answer my questions. Can you answer?
The feeling is mutual. Can you name a military?
Okay, but I understand what Korra's point, where it's like, yeah, in order to truly understand the premise of her original question, you do have to understand the criteria. Like, does this satisfy the thesis of your statement? Yes or no? Man, Mad 5820, dang, that's a want.
Can you answer my question? Would that be an example of a lack of civilian
Name one
consideration?
military directive, Korra.
Would you
Name.
answer my question? It's so simple. It's
What
genuinely
area
so
of
simple.
Gaza did the
It's a
IDF
yes
carpet bomb?
or no. It's a simple yes or no. Can you answer the question?
Can you name a military
Can
directive?
you answer? Okay, dude, what are we doing? Can you just answer the question very simply before
no,
we actually
because I
crack down
asked
to the
you,
substance?
Cora,
Can you answer? Would that be an example?
Okay,
Maddie.
hold on. Let me step in. To make it fair, so I said before we played the video that I was going to let Maddie pose the question. So, Korra, you could, so we can move on. If you
Yes,
can
no, and the reason why I'm asking this is before I present an evidence, I want to make sure that under her criteria, this would in fact fit what she is trying to ask for. That's why I'm
I
clarifying.
asked for a specific military directive.
And I'm
It
asking
doesn't get
you,
much simpler than
wait,
this.
hold on. A specific military directive that shows a lack of consideration for the civilians in that particular regard. I asked you,
No.
is carpet
Love,
bombing
you
an
keep
example
cutting
of
off
such?
parts of my sentences.
I'm
said
asking you. I'm asking
So
you.
here, I'll answer it this way.
It's a yes or no question. So
no,
you
it's
can
not.
do yes or no and then expound.
No. So if you could show me, wait a second. If you could show me a specific military directive from the IDF.
Oh, may Allah do Joe, put blessings into your day. CW, we're praying for you. I hope you're successful in everything that you do.
That specifically calls for the carpet bombing of
I
Gaza.
ask Allah to preserve your faith. I ask Allah to put blessings into your day. I ask Allah to everyone in the chat to give us as many opportunities as possible to be abundant in the opportunities in order to do good deeds so we can all reach the highest levels of Jannah. I mean,
In which there has been none that has taken place, so you won't be able to show me this. But let's just say we'll humor you. You could show me the IDF saying to carpet bomb Gaza, despite the fact there is no Hamas strongholds in the area in which they are carpet bombing, right? Because that was your initial claim, that there's no Hamas directives in this area, and yet the IDF is going in and carpet bombing them. If you could show me that military directive, I would be absolutely gobsmacked, but I know you can't because it doesn't exist, but please try your best.
And unfortunately, I'm still
gobsmacked? Yo, that's like, dude, that's the most Karen word you can say. I mean, I don't mean this like in a sexist way because, like, I think, a man calling a woman Karen could be deemed as sexist, but I mean, come on, guys, get over it. It's the internet. It's 2026. But, bro, if you're using gobsmacked if you're using, what was it? Duelist specialis and gobsmacked in a debate, bruv. I mean, come on, bro. I'm telling you, it's going to be a level 10 ultra Karen boss at the age of 40. That's the future. That's the future for the opinionated girl.
Going to need an answer to my question. Is carpet bombing particular areas
SNEAKO, do you feel
an
like
example?
I answered her
Talking in KJV. Facts. You gotta go. Salam. Yep. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. CW.
question?
It was a yes or no question. Is that an example of a lack of consideration for civilians?
She's looking for a clarification, but it's a specific question. So I mean, if that falls under the criteria, she's asking for your specific criteria. I don't want to keep on looping and.
Yeah, that's why I just wanted a yes or no so we could do it quick. Like we could just break it down real quick.
Yeah, I just
would
want
it be
you
an
to show me
example?
the military directive. I feel like
And I
what I
just
want
wait,
clear.
and to be honest with you, I'm not interested in wasting my time. That's exactly why I'm asking you for your criteria prior to me even trying to posit an evidence. Would that be an example?
So my criteria is the definition of genocide. So what you would have to prove in order to say that Israel is committing a genocide is you'd have to prove dualis specialis. This is not my criteria. This is just the criteria. Dualis
I didn't
specialis.
ask about that, bro. Like,
You
wait, hold on.
asked for my
This is the problem.
criteria.
I
You
asked you for your criteria, and I asked you, would carpet bombing particular areas be an example of a lack of regard for the civilians in said area? To which I've yet to get an answer to that. So can you tell me, would that be an example?
Actually,
I think they've legitimately spent 10 minutes on this one thing, which is like, at the same time, you gotta give credit to Korra, because, dude, like, she will not give up. She will continuously push and push and push and push to the point where it's like, okay, Korra, we get it. Like, just for the sake of just the viewer, can you just ask the question? But I understand why it's so important, because what's the point of giving evidence if it's not going to fall into the criteria of her main statement? So I get it, but it's like, dang, dude. Like, just throw us a bone. Throw the viewers a bone and just give us something to watch, man. Like, please.
you asked if it was in civilian areas with no proof that Hamas was operating from those areas.
Yes.
And
yes. Would that be an example?
Of dualis specialis?
Would that be an example of a lack of consideration for civilians in this particular regard? That was my question.
With a specific military objective that says Hamas isn't here, but carpet bomb the shit out of them anyway? Sure.
Wait, so it's not about actions anymore, it's about speech?
I just told you that you had to link actions and speech, Korra. I don't know.
Wait, so let's say an individual says that my intent. Wait, hold on. So watch this. Wait, so watch this. Now this is getting beyond embarrassing. So now we need a direct correlation. Wait, yeah, no, absolutely. So we need a direct correlation between speech and action. If somebody outwardly goes and says, "I have no intent on completely and utterly massacring this group of individuals," and they do it anyways, is that no longer genocide because they claimed that they didn't want to?
Could you show me the military directive?
You're gonna have to answer that question. This goes even further to the point that you're making. If somebody, because you said we need both speech and action. If somebody says my intent is not to go and massacre this group of people, and they go and they do it anyways, is that no longer a genocide?
I'd love you to show me the military directive.
Wait, and I'm showing you the flaws in the criteria that you just tried to posit, which is verbal intent and action having direct correlation by necessity. So can you answer my question? Can you answer my question?
Great. You haven't answered a single one of mine, but I'm feeling very charitable right now.
And I'm feeling genuinely, I'm feeling very impatient. So can you answer?
Yeah, sure. I'll play pretend with you. Let's say that the IDF did what you were trying to pretend they did, that they carpet bombed Gaza despite the fact there was no evidence of Hamas operating there. I would grant you that that could potentially fall under dualis specialis.
That's not what I asked you. That's not what I asked. I asked if an individual goes out of their way. That was a question that I asked 5 minutes ago that you're refusing to answer 5 minutes ago. We're on something completely new now. If an individual goes out of their way and says that I do not want to
yeah, guys. This is it. We're running out of steam, man. We're running out of steam. Dang. I keep pausing it on some of the most horrific comments. Osama bin Pimpin. Oh my! Even his name. Jeez. Wow.
Occur this large group of people, and they go and they do it anyways. So there's a disconnect between the speech and the actions. Is that no longer a genocide just because they said, "Oh, my intention was not to execute the entire group"?
So again, it would depend what their intention is, because genocide.
How do we know intention?
I'm sorry, I was speaking, right? Genocide.
I'm sorry, how do we know intention?
Yeah, so genocide has a very, very specific criteria in which you have.
What did you miss? You missed exactly what you told me what would happen. Yeah, Takabala, may Allah accept your prayer. And may Allah put blessings into everything that you do, Brother Muhammad. But man, you missed exactly what you said. So to sum it up real quickly, Korra, so the opinionated girl is asking, can you show an example of a military directive? And then Korra's like, okay, before I answer your question, can you show me Or before I answer your question, would corporate bombing, a place, a specific place a carpet bombing a random place in Gaza, would that fit your criteria for a military directive that would show the lack of care for the civilian lives of the Gazan people? And it's been a merry-go-round for the past 15 minutes or so. SNEAKO's, Dan, that's the truest comment of the day, honestly. He has been a little lights on, no one's home. I'm not going to lie. And then, so yeah, that's kind of what's just been for about like 15 or 20 minutes, to be honest, which is like, it's really brain dead. I'm not going to lie. We passed the wall. The wall is around like 43 minutes and it hasn't gone any better at all. I'm hoping that this can just come to a point where Korra starts to cook. It seems like I'm going to be honest. I was expecting because I know this girl was asking for a second debate, but at the same time, it just seems like everyone's cooking a bunch of salads. It just seems like this entire debate is just everyone's just cooking a salad. There were some things that were like, oh, that's a great point, the Amalek thing. But I mean, it's still just a salad right now.
Have to not just have not just take actions to annihilate an entire group of people, but you have to have the specific intent that you want to genocide those people. A large group of people does not inherently make it a genocide, right? If that was the case, then the Allied powers would have genocided Nazi Germany, right? But that's not what happened, and we understand that because there can be times where there's mass amounts of killing without the specific intent that I want to annihilate this entire group of people. So now, for the sixth time, because I agree, right?
I'm sorry that
I'm still talking,
this is
right?
beyond. Wait,
yeah,
hold on.
It is beyond, Korra.
This is truly beyond.
Please,
I asked you a very explicit question. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
For the love of all that is good and holy, I did.
You said that your criteria is intent and action.
I will say she has had some zingers. What was it? Not flabbergasted. What was it? Gobsmacked. Gobsmacked. Yeah, that was a zinger right there. That was level 10 boss Karen at age 40 lexicon right there. Gobsmacked. That's a good one.
Asked you how do we
was this recent one?
Question. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
For the love of all that is good and holy, I did.
You said
For the love that is all good and holy, I did. Yeah, man. All right, I gotta say she has her Karen zingers on lock.
You said that your criteria is intent and action. I asked you, how do we establish?
No, for sure. I'm not even blaming Korra at all. I just before you joined too, or just before you rejoined, what I was saying is that to a fault, because Korra's not doing this is just who Korra is, from my opinion, right? As a viewer, she is very debative. She's very inquisitive. And she's gonna get her question answered no matter what. She will spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes, dude. She'll spend an hour if she has to, asking the same question over and over and over again, going on the merry-go-round until it gets finally answered. Which, props to her. May Allah bless her. May Allah bless her family. But you would never see me do that, bro. That would just get. I'm getting a headache just watching this. But the fact that she has the energy to keep going, it's literally it's like a lion after a prey. It's honestly a lion after a prey. She will just not stop. She's relentless over and over. Which, come on. What is the debate, bro? The debate is Israel-Palestine debate. Is the genocide real or not? So, to be fair, again, I'm glad someone's doing it. I'm glad someone's going after it. That's just not me. That's not who I am. That's just not, I don't like that type of style. I'm just saying for myself, right? I like to be happy-go-lucky. Korra's she's a killer. She's actually a stone cold killer. And yeah, this opinionated girl, she's sidestepping, she's tangoing, she's going back and forth, she's playing the game, and she's playing the game well. So that's why, like I said, it's a bunch of salads. This is just a bunch of we're watching a cook-off and they're making salads.
Establish intent, and you said the way that we establish intent is verbal as well as actions as well. I said, what if there's a disconnect? What if somebody says that I don't intend on completely executing this entire group, and they go and they execute the entire group? Is that no longer considered a genocide just because they outwardly said that wasn't their intention?
Right. So again, if you look at the actual definition of genocide, what you need is dual specialis. This means that you have to be able to prove that there was a specific intent to genocide that group. I answered that. That's a pretty clear answer. We can move backwards.
No. I'm sorry.
But I mean, yeah, I'll say this 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,001 times more. But yeah, the bombing of all the different masjids during Gaza, or just bombings in general happening during the month of Ramadan, I mean, that's pretty, clear cut that there's no respect for the people and their religion, right? When you're bombing people, like, imagine this would be like bombing someone on Christmas, or bombing someone on Hanukkah, or bombing someone on that day where they throw paint at each other, the Hindi people, or the Hindu people, whatever that, or the other one as well. But like, that's where you show lack of care. You want to remove integrity. You want to remove respect. You want to truly take away any sign of hope, is when you attack and murder people during their holy event. Whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, Purim, Ramadan, whatever the paint day is. I'm sorry, I know that sounds super whack and disrespectful, but I don't know what the name is right now, sorry. But I mean, the examples are countless. It's not like, one or two, but I mean, it is countless. You throw poo. Is it poo or is it paint? Or is it both? At school, they would throw paint. Maybe it's because they're supposed to throw poo. I don't know, man. I'm just going to plead the fifth on that one.
That didn't answer the question. I asked you if there's a disconnect between the verbal and the
Okay,
action.
we're looping now. Is it okay if you have some time? We have people asking questions in the TTS.
I would just love if Korra could give me a single
I'm sorry,
military directive,
this is truly just getting so upsetting. When
that's how I would, if I was in the situation, that would be the first thing that's what I would say, right? I would say, any type, and this is not just, again, a one-time thing. This has been a multiple time thing. There's this one here. There's the one that you can't even find that we tried finding. They literally scraped it off the internet. But it's still on Twitter, alhamdulillah.
Try to even build the conversation in any direction whatsoever. She refuses to give me answers. The point that I'm making is that your criteria for intent is so flawed, it's despicable, because it's circular. You said that genocide requires intent and action. And how do we justify intent? We need verbal declaration, and we also need action simultaneously. I asked you, what if there's a disconnect between the verbal aspect and the action aspect? Is it still a genocide? If somebody outwardly says, my intention is not to execute this entire group, but they do it anyways, I'm asking you, it's a yes or no question, very simply. Is it no longer a genocide if they so it's no longer a genocide if they say it wasn't their intention?
It was never a genocide, because again, you'd have to prove that their intent was to commit a genocide. That's quite literally what dualis specialis means.
And I asked you, how do we establish intent? And this is exactly why I'm asking.
All right, yeah, this girl's really starting to piss me off now.
That words have to link up with actions.
What if they don't?
Not only,
I asked you what if they don't. And I asked you what if they don't.
Not only have I explained it, but I actually brought you the specific case law. For example, how a genocide was proven with Bosnia, in which they took a look at the words coming out of their government and the actions that directly correlated it with their intent that they wanted to annihilate the people, right? And then they took specific actions in order to do that. What I have asked you, wait a second, please. What I have asked you 7 times at this point, your entire premise of being here is that you so strongly believe, based off of evidence, I would hope so, that Israel is genociding the Palestinian people. I have been very charitable.
Yes, based on their actions.
1 second. Great, based on actions. So if their actions are proving
is actions enough? I'm asking you, is actions enough?
Wait, hold on.
Okay, dude, I'm actually about to explode. Holy crap. Okay, thank you. We only have 9 more minutes, guys. I actually, this is
not
you're
interrupt.
asking in the
Let her
middle of
finish
my
the claim and then we can respond
Okay.
so we don't keep
I
circling.
think we've honestly spent the last 30 minutes on this.
Great. I have asked you for one single military directive, right? I'm not even asking you to link it to speech. I'm not asking for that. I am putting the bar in hell and you are struggling to reach it. Could you give me one single military directive that shows a blatant lack of regard for civilian lives in Gaza without a valid security reason for it?
Okay.
One.
Perfect.
One.
Absolutely.
Don't answer it
absolutely.
with a
Let's let her
question.
respond.
Wait,
Hold
hold
on,
on.
Maddie. Let's let her respond
Great.
uninterrupted.
Don't answer it with a question.
Whoa,
One military
whoa.
directive.
Whoa. I wasn't going to answer it with a question. I was actually going to appeal to sources. Now, I have a question. Under what definition are we
I
using
wasn't going to
wait, hold
answer
on.
it with a
Wait,
question,
no,
but I
wait,
have a
one second,
question.
I'm asking, do we have a problem with the UN? But before I start appealing to sources, do we have an issue?
Yeah, I have a lot of issues with the UN, but could you show me a specific military objective?
Yeah, so let's start right here. So the UN, interestingly enough, what they do is they have an independent inquiry pertaining to what's going on in Gaza in particular. And they go on extensively and give...
Okay. Salad's getting upgraded. We're getting an appetizer now. Okay, we're getting an appetizer. I think we're gonna get some super hot fire. Come on, let's go. Come on, Korra, please, come on.
Lists and lists and lists, sources and sources and sources, over and over and over again. Do they mention instances that show what I was asking you for previously, which is what intent is? Actions on actions on actions in which Israel is in fact committing these atrocities against the Palestinians without, and this is exactly why I asked you for sources with every single claim that you made, without any evidence that there is some sort of Hamas official or some sort of a combatant in these particular areas. Like, for example, are you familiar with the instance in which a particular fertility clinic was bombed and over 4,000 zygotes were essentially completely and utterly eradicated in said clinic? Are we familiar with that instance? That would be an example of, according to you, because I agree, I'm pretty sure you're pro-life, right? You're pro-life. You believe that is a child. Do you believe that you essentially bombing a fertility clinic with 4,000 children in it, 4,000 children inside of it, with the essentially, by the way, we have zero evidence whatsoever that we're...
Okay, whoa, we might have a steak dinner here. Let's see. Israel bombs what was it? Fertility clinic. And she's pro-life? Wow. Dang, that's insane. The fact that she's hammering on the this is a double whammy. Yo. I mean, personally, I would still go with the bombing of masjids. Personally, I would. But the fact that she's hitting a pro-life and 4,000 deaths, that's wow. On someone who's actively pro-life, that's a double whammy. Okay, that's good. See, this is what we were literally waiting 25 minutes for just this one extremely perfect example.
There was ever some sort of Hamas official or combatant in or underneath said fertility clinic whatsoever. So we have no evidence to establish such at all. Do you believe that those 4,000 kids was justified?
So still no directive from the military. Just
wait, hold on. We're discussing very specifically. Was this action justified? 4,000 kids, a fertility clinic in Gaza.
Right. So I'm not answering any more of your questions until
I just gave you an example. Wait, hold on. I just gave you an example of something that happened. 4,000
kids. You gave me an example of an action. I'd be more than happy to entertain it with you. Right? We could talk.
Wait, no. Let's break that down, because when you say military, wait, hold on. When you say military initiative, that's asking for speech. We're talking about actions right now.
No.
Do you believe that those 4,000 kids was justified?
I'm not answering any more of your questions until you give me the direct military
and I'm
objective.
giving you
all right,
an
we reached an hour. We're cycling here. Hold on.
Give me a direct order from the IDF, Korra.
And I'm asking you, was Israel bombing those 4,000?
Okay, wait, what does she expect? Like footnotes? Like, what does she expect? Like meeting notes from the IDF? Like, who's just gonna have meeting notes being like, hey, by the way, the IDF, has a military objective to bomb this fertility clinic? Like, what? I don't understand what, like, what would satisfy her criteria for a source. I don't understand that. Like, what's the expectation? Like, the proof should be in the pudding. Like, the proof literally should be in the pudding. That if it's either something then the question, then it begs the question. Then who was the one that dropped the bomb on the fertility clinic? Who is the one that dropped the bomb on these masjids? Okay, that's what you've been saying the whole time? Okay, maybe I just clocked it. Maybe I just clocked it literally took me 1 hour and 4 minutes and 42 seconds for me to clock it. That, like, what I don't understand the point of what she's trying to say. The proof is just in the pudding. Like, who else would have who would have bombed these places? Okay, wow, I am a little slow today. Please forgive me, I'm a little slow.
Kids justified?
Can you give me a military
Was Israel bombing those 4,000 children justified?
Let's give closing statements.
I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna sound disrespectful, but it's just the truth. This makes her seem way dumber than I thought. It's gonna sound disrespectful, but unfortunately, it's just the truth. But the fact that I clocked it now, this makes her seem way dumber than I actually thought she was. It's just the truth, man. It's just the truth.
Well, I'm gonna give 2-minute closing statements to wrap this up quickly. I think so because Maddie went first, right? So let's Maddie, you could choose now if you want to go first for the closing statement or go second.
I'll go second.
Okay, Korra, I'll put up.
Korra's pissed.
I think so because
Israel bombing those 4,000 children justified.
Let's give closing statements. Well, I'm gonna give 2-minute closing statements to wrap this up quickly. I think so because Maddie went first, right? So let's Maddie, you could choose now if you want to go first for the closing statement or go second.
I'll go second.
Okay, Korra, I'll put up a 2-minute timer, and we can do closing statements here.
All right, for sure.
Go ahead.
Now, unfortunately, I thought that this discussion was going to be beyond more fruitful, to be 100% transparent with you. We unfortunately had to go over...
Yeah, she doesn't get that. She's undermining World War II narratives with these arguments. Yeah, true.
Definitions and essentially criterias for what constitutes intent. One moment it's action, the next it's speech. One moment it's action, the next it's speech. I gave her an example. I asked her, is carpet bombing justified? She said there was no carpet bombing whatsoever. No answer in that particular regard for the first 10 minutes of me asking, to which she finally conceded. And she said, yes, if you gave me an example, I would say that, yeah, that pushes towards an evidence that Israel is in fact committing a genocide. Now, I later on give her examples of Israel committing atrocities. One of these examples being them bombing a fertility clinic where they killed 4,000 kids. And I asked her, is this justified?
She's spooked. She's a little spooked.
She said, no, we need a military initiative. We need them to verbally say that this is their intent. There are no Hamas leaders whatsoever, no combatants whatsoever. And this is exactly why I cracked down on the criteria itself. According to her, we cannot establish intent solely on action. So if an individual walks out, they go to essentially, let's say, a mall, and they say, my intention is not to unalive literally everybody that's inside of this mall, and then they go and do so. According to her, we cannot necessarily try that person for that crime in particular because that intent wasn't there. They verbally said they were not intending on doing it, and they go and they do it anyways. She goes on over and over and over again, changes what her criteria was. She said that Benjamin Netanyahu, likening what's going on with Amalek, she said that the children in this particular regard were in fact not innocent, which by the way is completely consistent with what just went on previously, because she had some sort of, I guess we can say, regard or remorse for the 4,000 kids that were killed. It is so obvious that's what's going on in Palestine and Gaza in particular, because that's what we were going over is a genocide, and the actions show exactly that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm actually very excited for. Well, I'm excited for this to end. I'm excited for this to end, but I'm just excited. Wow, she's looking so smug. I'm just excited for what could actually come out of her mouth at this point. I want to pause just for a little bit of dramatic effect, because I already know it's going to be horrific. It's going to be crap. And she's muted, but I'm excited to see what she could possibly say at this point.
Okay, Maddie, you have 2 minutes to conclude.
Great, thank you. So we just had an hour-long debate about genocide. This was not my definition of genocide. This was the legal definition in which Korra failed to provide one single specific military objective that would constitute the IDF having a blatant disregard for civilian lives in Gaza without a valid security concern. What I have been able to demonstrate is that Israel has gone above and beyond in order to prevent civilian casualties. What Korra was not able to prove is that Israel is trying to annihilate.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. This is the type of girl where like the teacher forgot to like hand out homework at the end of class, and then at the end of class she's like, "Wait, but what happened to the homework? Like, aren't you gonna give us homework?" That's who she is, man. That's who she is.
The Palestinian people. Of course, she was unable to prove this because they've been claiming genocide for the past 76 years, and yet their population keeps growing. My advice for the pro-Palestinians is if you are unhappy with what's happening in Gaza, I highly recommend you put the pressure on Hamas to surrender, as Benjamin Netanyahu has made it abundantly clear that once they surrender, this war ends. If you want peace, you should probably give peace a try, but they don't want peace. They want dead Jews, as quoted by their military leaders. You see, I was able to cite actual Hamas military objectives during the October 7th massacre that would constitute genocide. Korra, if you have a problem with proving dualis specialis, take it up with the people who created the actual definition of genocide. Take it up with The Hague if you have a problem with Amalek. Don't take it up with me. And answering every single question you're asked with a question without being able to substantiate a single one of your claims is probably not the best look. And I'm really sorry that I genocided you in this debate.
Man, that was unbelievably cringe. That was unbelievably cringe. Dude, I felt like I just had like a sour warhead. That's how cringe that was.
Okay, you have 20 seconds, but that concludes this discussion. I appreciate the both of you for coming on. If you want to do another one, I think maybe in a week or something, because it seemed from, trying to be unbiased, it seems like there could have been more directly engaging with the substance from either side. I'd be willing to host another one, and we can address some of the claims and some of the sources that were brought up here. I appreciate both of your time. Do you think that this was fairly moderated, Maddie and Korra?
I do, thank you.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely it was.
I appreciate the both of you. Thank you for this discussion, and we could talk again soon.
Thank you, SNEAKO.
For sure.
Bye,
All right,
Korra.
assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Okay.
Okay, all right, let's hear any final thoughts. No final thoughts. Just strobe lights. Okay. Okay, I guess. Okay. Yeah, neutral platform. That's true. W SNEAKO. We gotta give SNEAKO credit where credit is due. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, okay. She was sounding pretty smart. That girl was sounding pretty smart. But then I clocked it. Is that her whole entire criteria was that she required a direct footnotes or like a briefing or some, I don't even know what she could possibly require that would showcase the action with the verbal intent of the IDF, which is like if the shoe fits, but it's not even if the shoe fits, bruv. It's like you're like going back to these examples. Which army bombed this IVF center? Which army struck this mosque in Gaza this past week, just the other day, 2 days ago? Which army bombed? I'm laughing because it makes me uncomfortable that there's an actual human being that's out there that has the thought process and pushing this type of narrative. But which army bombed this masjid on the first night of Ramadan? Or the same thing is, which army the Gazan people awakes to bloody suhoor as Israel stages Ramadan massacre. This was back in 2025. The Israeli military, however, had planned to use this moment of communal ritual to stage a ferocious attack on Palestinian enclave and tear the fragile 58-day ceasefire to shreds. So who's doing it? Funnily enough, some of them have admitted they committed a genocide. Yeah, for sure. Reminds me of the verse about their tongues testifying about themselves. Absolutely. So yeah, that's like the overall summary is that like I don't understand what she would actually expect. She's hiding behind this wall of nonsense. She had a zinger in there. What was it? She's gobsmacked. I'm a little gobsmacked myself. She sounded really smart, but then, I started to put 2 and 2 together. I know I was an hour and 4 minutes late, but I started to put 2 and 2 together, and she might be a little dumber than I thought. I thought she was smart, but I don't know. I don't think that anymore. Korra was... It's just who she is. It's in her nature. It's like a lion after prey, but it's like, just give it a break. Let's just get to the point. Please, let's just get to the point. Overall, I don't know. Maybe like a 5.5 or 6 out of 10. I don't know. That one was like, was it that entertaining for me? Maybe. Not, like, kind of. Not really. Like, if we're gonna say like the 2v2 Korra and Orthodox Muslim versus Cliff and his son Stuart, that was like a 9 or 10 out of 10. That one was really entertaining to watch, at least for me. And so yeah, I don't know. Maybe this one's like a 5.5 or 6 out of 10. But okay, with that being said, we're gonna end stream here. We're gonna stream again on Monday, inshallah. There's a lot of great things to watch, man. We're gonna watch this video for sure. I want to watch the Itachi video. I want to watch the SNEAKO and Itachi conversation. I want to watch the 1v10 IP and Sheikh Uthman versus all the Christians. We might watch the IP versus the other one versus Jake, the metaphysics guy, whatever it is. We might watch that one. So yeah, we got a lot to watch this week. But for sure, next stream will be Monday, inshallah. Yeah, thank you guys all for joining. Def to Epstein class. Senray, Saad, everyone who else who joined. We had a popping class today. We had like 35 people, I think, at our peak. We had people stay for the whole 2.5 hours. It's one of our longest streams in a while. But thank you guys for watching. May Allah put blessings into everything you guys do. I'm going to catch you guys on Monday, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you guys. I love you all for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. And yeah, a little bit of brain rot, but I can't wait for the